People who came here under Boris Johnson could be allowed the right to remain here forever. Now, that could cost billions of pounds in lifetime contributions, because every immigrant gets old, every immigrant needs a pension, every immigrant needs to use the NHS. And here's the point. What does Andy Burnham stand for? We don't know. We don't have a Scooby-Doo what his immigration policy is. We don't know any policies about anything. And today we've learned nobody's even going to stand against him. There'll be no attempt to cross-examine a guy who's going to walk into Downing Street. A lot of people think that is outrageous. A lot of people, that should cause a general election. Get in touch, gbnews.com/your say, or use the QR code on your screens now to do that. But now it's time for your headlines, and here's Katie Bowen.
Martin, thank you and good afternoon. The headlines at 3:03. Sir Keir Starmer has defended his record as Labour leader in his first Prime Minister's questions since announcing his resignation. Downing Street has also indicated this afternoon that Sir Keir Starmer intends to stay on as a backbench MP for the rest of this Parliament, despite standing down. At PMQ's this lunchtime, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch challenged the Prime Minister to say whether he felt betrayed and let down by his own party, as well as asking about the long-awaited defence investment plan.
2 years ago, I walked into Number 10 and found a broken economy, broken public services and broken trust in politics. Because of our decisions, my decision, the country is moving in the right direction, a stronger and a fairer Britain, ending austerity, investing in our public services, the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years, more rights for workers, more rights for renters, standing with Ukraine, Britain's reputation restored and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty. Change promised by a Labour government, fought for by a Labour government.
In other news, more than 500 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or died due to deeply embedded systemic failures at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. A review led by senior midwife Donna Ockenden has concluded. The inquiry found leaders at the Trust knew there were serious issues in its maternity department going back years, but failed to take action to prevent more deaths. Overall, 520 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or death, including 94 babies who were stillborn. The chairman of Nottingham University Hospital NHS Trust, Nick Carver, has apologised unreservedly to the women and families who have suffered harm, loss, trauma or distress while receiving care in our services, and said that the Trust will work on a meaningful apology and further improvement plans. More than 1,000 schools in England and Wales are shut or closing early as temperatures soar across the UK. A red weather warning for extreme heat covering parts of England and Wales is in place, as temperatures could reach close to 40 degrees. The Met Office are advising the elderly and vulnerable to stay indoors and are urging the public to reconsider lengthy travel plans. Humid conditions are also expected to persist well after sunset, bringing the prospect of tropical nights to parts of the UK, where temperatures remain above 20 degrees. A train driver who died in a crash near Bedford had passed a red signal moments before the collision, investigators say. The Rail Accident Investigation Branch revealed the finding in a statement today. More than 100 people were injured in the collision, which saw one train smash into the back of another on the same line, with 53 people remaining in hospital as of Monday. The driver who died at the scene was named as 60-year-old Sean Burton. London, Oldham and Bradford and Keighley are set to be the first towns and cities investigated by the Grooming Gangs inquiry. The £65 million probe is investigating how grooming gangs operated and how police, councils, health services, social care services and schools responded. More areas will be confirmed soon as the inquiry, led by Baroness Anne Longfield, sets out its phases of investigation. And an Algerian man has been jailed after pleading guilty to endangering lives at sea and arriving in the UK without valid entry clearance. 29-year-old Azzedine Ain Bouzid was jailed for a total of 24 months at Canterbury Crown Court. He piloted a small boat on the 18th of April this year, carrying 67 people, including a pregnant woman, from the French coast into UK waters before being intercepted by Border Security Command vessels. The small boat was suitable for only 20 people. As are your latest GBNews headlines, a quick look at the markets.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.32 and €1.16. The price of gold is £3,053 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 10,434 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Top stories today. The National Inquiry for Rape Gangs has announced its first 3 areas selected for local investigations. Oldham, Bradford and Keighley and London will all face investigations with statutory powers to bring people to account. National reporter Charlie Peters sat down with the inquiry chair, Baroness Anne Longfield, and panellists Zoe Billingham and Eleanor Kelly to discuss the details behind this announcement.
Anne, Zoe, Eleanor, thank you very much for speaking to us today. You have selected the first 3 areas for local investigation as part of the Grooming Gangs inquiry. Why have you chosen these 3 areas?
Well, it's a big day for us. It's really when the inquiry moves into its next phase with its hearings and its investigations. We've chosen those 3 areas. We've also announced what we're calling national accountability hearings. And they're important in themselves because they're about holding to account those national organisations who would have expected to have implemented the 800 plus recommendations that we've now found have been made from previous inquiries. The 3 areas, though, Oldham was already selected. That was something that there'd been a commitment to from the start and from the Home Secretary. And then we looked with a clear criteria, looking at prevalence, looking at crime reports, looking at data and what it tells us, and also a public concern. So there were 2 areas that we knew we would need to look at urgently. One, Bradford. We know there's been very strong campaign around that, very strong information being put forward. That for us was really important, not only for itself, but also in relationship with other areas in the north and with London, clearly biggest area, the capital. We've seen had reports from victims and survivors, and with London especially, obviously it's a complex area in terms of, the administration of the area, but we also know it's got a really key role with satellite towns all around London, Oxfordshire, Luton, High Wycombe, etc., and also a role in terms of its relationship with grooming gangs around the country. So there's an awful lot for us to look at there. These are our first 2. There'll be more to come.
What you just mentioned there, the national network, I thought that was a crucial part of the announcement you've made, recognising that these are not isolated towns and cities, that this is a truly national crisis that requires that coordinated investigation. How will that work when you conduct these local investigations? How will you ensure that trafficking between towns, the movement not just of victims but of abusers as well, and their connections will link up across the areas?
Well, I think there's a connection between our national accountability hearings and our local area investigations, because in the national accountability hearings, we're not just looking at government departments and the broader systems. We're actually looking at all of the organisations that were responsible for all of those 800 recommendations, many of which have not been implemented. And that helps us to understand the system and the system failures. It also starts to bring together the information that we'll get from our national call for evidence. There won't just be evidence that comes and information that comes from victims and survivors, but we believe that it will come from people within those organisations that actually knew more than was ever managed or dealt with. And so we'll be able to make our national accountability hearings feed into the local investigations, and the local investigations will then feed into the national accountability hearings. Our intention is to start holding the national accountability hearings at the end of this year. We'll then be working our way next year through the local area investigations, including the ones yet to be decided and announced, and then towards the end of our 3-year period, we'll go back to the national accountability hearings to really make sure that the lessons are being learned and the issues are actually being implemented. The issue of trafficking and movement of both perpetrators and victims and survivors is incredibly important, because it actually shows and demonstrates that this was no one single area or even a group of areas. If you look at how people were moved around, if you listen to what victims and survivors say about how they were moved around, both London and Bradford are incredibly important for their importance in terms of effectively being hubs. And if we understand those hubs and we understand those connections, and particularly in London, as Anne said, it's such a complex area. You have 2 police forces, 5 health boards, and 32 boroughs plus the City of London. Very, very complex systems. But you also have an interconnection with very high levels of child sexual exploitation, and you have the county lines, gangs, drug gangs issues. So we have to do that. We have to work within that complexity, but it will all be learning for us, and we will be led by the evidence, and we will make those connections.
So Mark Rowley has said there are sort of tens of cases that his force is reviewing and doesn't want there to be confusion, perhaps, with county lines. Finding a definition that you can focus on, that will be one of the main challenges you have here, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the problems that we've got that we will overcome in this inquiry is there's been an obfuscation, if you like, of the crimes that have been happening in plain sight. And that's what we're determined to get at, is that we know for too often that organisations, that agencies have had red flag warning signs that girls as young as 12 are being raped and seriously, horrendously abused, but have turned the other cheek. So we're not going to allow definitions to get in our way. We're going to get right to the truth. One of the things that's really important to stress is our starting point is that there has been a catastrophic failing of the state. That's our starting point. We know these crimes have happened. We know this abuse has taken place. We've heard directly from victims and survivors who have had to endure this and are still living with it even 20, 30 years after their abuse. So our starting point is that this has happened. Our inquiry is about providing accountability to those victims and survivors for why so many people knew this was happening in plain sight but didn't act, looked the other way, failed to join the dots. So your question's a good one, Charlie, around definitions, but actually we're going to look at the evidence and we're going to go forensically to that evidence to actually show what's been going on.
Excellent stuff. Let's now speak with our national reporter, Charlie Peters, who joins us now. Charlie Peters, the inquiry they tried to stop. The inquiry the Labour Party voted against. At last, it's moving forward. Oldham, Bradford and Keighley and London first on the list, and let's hope that extends nationwide. But Charlie, at long last, we have action.
That's right, Martin, and more to come. That's the message we've heard from those 3 members of the Grooming Gangs Inquiry panel. This is just the start in terms of locations that are going to be assessed for catastrophic failings, that language from Zoe Billingham, a panel member on the inquiry. That's their starting point. They recognise how devastating this has been for survivors right across the United Kingdom, and they also recognise within their purview of England and Wales that they need to look at the trafficking. These are not isolated towns and cities, but rather interlinking networks of abusers, and that is very much coming through with their national accountability strands of their investigation as well. Not just having these investigations in local areas, but also having evidence-giving sessions looking at central government. That will put a jolt of concern in Whitehall, no doubt, and also national policing institutions, councils and other major bodies. How did politicians and people in positions of responsibility deal with it when they were given these reports? 800 recommendations they're going to assess. And they also told me, Martin, a very interesting and long interview that will go on our website later today, that they were considering and could speak to perpetrators as part of the assessment to understand why these gangs operated in the way they did. We know that was one of the areas where the serious case review in Newcastle was successful. It was the only one that actually spoke to the criminals themselves and got a perspective from them as well. What I can also tell you now, Martin, we've got a better indication of where they might next investigate, because Eleanor Kelly told me in that interview that one of the things they're looking at is going to be Hull. Obviously a very important town and city for this investigation. Hull, the city where we have seen 2 investigations by the police collapse after lengthy probes up there. Eleanor Kelly telling me that one of the organisations obviously under the spotlight up will be the Crown Prosecution Service. We know that there are specific examples in Hull to be looked at, to be questioned and to be examined in relation to those 2 failed attempts. So while they've announced those 3 areas today, Martin, London and Bradford and Keighley being 2 main trafficking hubs, and Oldham, of course, very important for the inquiry in general, what we're hearing now in terms of where they might go next, Hull is on that list.
Bravo, bravo. Alas, something is happening. And Charlie Peters, a salute to you for all the work you've done making sure this is not allowed to stifle. Thank you, Charlie Peters. And, of course, you'll be back at 5 p.m. with the survivor, Fiona Goddard, from Bradford, one of the areas impacted today. Hallelujah. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks,
See you later in the show. Back to Westminster. Andy Burnham could reportedly scale back plans to toughen up settlement rules for migrants already living in the United Kingdom. Now, under proposals being considered by ministers, the time required for many migrant workers to qualify for permanent residency was set to double. Now, these are plans that Shabana Mahmood said the right to stay in the country forever, indefinite leave to remain, would go to 10 years and not 5, and would be reviewed. Rumours today, Andy Burnham is going to water that down. Some people are calling him Open Borders Burnham. Is that unfair? Let's get to the studio. Joined by our political editor Chris Hope and the Reform MP for Romford, Andrew Rosendale, and of course our senior political commentator. It is Wednesday, 3 hours of arguing with Nigel Nelson. Gentlemen, welcome to you all. Chris, the mystery man of Manchester. What does Andy Burnham stand for? Nobody knows. We don't know his policies on taxation, on borders, on anything. A leak in the iPaper today looks like a severe watering down of an immigration clampdown. Is this guy going to be Open Borders Burnham?
Well, he's a blank canvas, Martin, and that's why people are projecting onto that blank canvas what they want to see happen. The left of the party is unhappy with Shabana Mahmood's plan to immigration, doubling the indefinite leave to remain from 5 to 10 years, and they're trying to put pressure on the new Prime Minister, expected to be Andy Burnham, saying, well, don't go ahead. We know that it's quite a soft left base of this party. Many of them weren't in business before they came in. Many of them were PR people, special advisors, charity people, quangos and so forth, not actually facing woke. Well, woke's your word, Martin, but they're not actually facing the pressures, I think, that our viewers and listeners do feel from immigration. That's why because we don't know what he believes in on so many areas, and that's why we are saying that's why there's a concern about what he might be doing. And other areas too: tax and spend, health, benefits. He's reported today to be looking to spend more money on defence, to which the answer is, yeah, but how would he fund it, Andy Burnham? We don't know.
Well, maybe he's been down to Jeremy Corbyn's allotment and found the magic money tree.
Well, exactly, and that's the question.
Let's be honest, where is this money coming from? You can't just magic it all up. And there's another article doing the rounds today in the left-wing media saying if Andy Burnham cuts back on benefits, it will be his political downfall. Yeah. So he's promising all things to all people, Andrew Rosendale, and on border control in particular. We've seen a complete U-turn during the Makerfield by-election. He initially said, I back Shabana Mahmood's clampdown. Now he's agreeing with Angela Rayner, saying, actually, it's un-British and could leave people in a sense of limbo and unable to integrate. I tell you what's un-British, expecting the British taxpayer to cough up for all of this.
Martin, the country is in a terrible state, and it's the Labour Party in government, and whoever's Prime Minister, Andy Burnham or someone else, probably going to be Burnham, it's the same failed Labour Party that has dragged this country down to the depths we're in today. We don't need Andy Burnham. We need a general election. We need a change of government. And we need a party in power that believes in this country. Now, immigration is by far the most important issue on the doorstep. We found that in the local elections. It affects everything. If you have mass immigration that nobody voted for into our country, it affects the health service, it affects schools, housing, it affects the environment, and it's changing the culture of our country that nobody ever voted for. Now, if Andy Burnham is going to water down what Keir Starmer's government have already been doing, that's a very, very bad sign. And I think that it won't be long before people in this country see through what the Labour Party are doing, and want to see a change of government completely.
Andrew, on general election, I could understand Andy Burnham holding one if he was going to rip up the Labour Party manifesto that they stood on in 2024. He's not. He's sticking to Rachel Reeves's fiscal rules. He's not going to increase income tax, VAT, or employee national insurance. Now, if you abandon your manifesto, yes, have an election. You guys, when you defected from the Tories over to Reform, none of you had a by-election, and yet you were rejecting the manifesto that you were elected on.
So, Nigel, Andy Burnham wasn't a candidate at the last general election. So other prime ministers that have come in, so Theresa May came in, and Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, they were elected under the manifesto as MPs. Andy Burnham wasn't at the last election. He's come in as a mayor of Manchester, being parachuted into Westminster, and then supposedly into number 10. The whole thing is very deeply questionable.
But he was a Labour Manchester mayor, and he's coming in, because we don't have a presidential system in this country, he's come in to lead the party that won the last election, and standing on that manifesto.
I said constitutionally it's correct. OK. But in terms of what the British people want, they want a general election, they want a change of government completely.
Gentlemen, another story out today. You couldn't make this one up, Andrew Rosendale, and that is the European Union want a Rwanda-style return hubs. Half of the nations in Europe, those most impacted by uncontrolled immigration, including Germany, Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, they're demanding deportation and offshore processing in Rwanda. The same policy Keir Starmer scrapped on day one.
Absolutely. Look, this is the state of our country today, that we had an ideologically driven left-wing government elected 2 years ago, and everything they've done has been a total calamity for our country. They ditched a policy of sending illegal immigrants to a third country. Now, this worked in Australia. The Sovereign Borders Bill of Tony Abbott dealt with the problem there. What we tried to do, and the Conservative Party tried to do in government, is to replicate something along those lines. OK, it wasn't nearly as strong as it should have been, but Keir Starmer ditched it on day one. And now European countries are following that policy because they can see the only way to solve illegal immigration is if you come here illegally, you get sent straight back out.
And Chris, is the point here, and Nigel, is the point here, clearly it was a good, workable policy. If it's good enough for Brussels, why is it not good enough for British? And was it scrapped simply because it was a Conservative idea?
Well, I was there when it was scrapped. I was in the room on the day after the result of the general election on that Saturday morning in Downing Street for that press conference, and he said, he had to be asked a question, the PM, yes, of course that's going, or something. It was a brush of his hand. I just felt that they are just allowing their annoyance with a Tory policy to get ahead of where the evidence was. There was anecdotal evidence that people were not going north from France and going south into Ireland.
Yeah, it was very dodgy evidence, that.
Well, but why not? OK, fine, but get evidence, Nigel. The government messed up.
And that's why the Permanent Secretary at the Home Office would not sign it off as value for money, because there was absolutely no evidence it would act as a deterrent.
But, gentlemen, I'll tell you one thing.
Works in Australia.
Until we know...
Australia's different. Australia's a completely different thing. That you're talking about 150 miles of open water. You're not talking about the English Channel.
We've got to leave it there. Listen... My point is this: until we know what Andy Burnham's policies are, we're going to keep asking every single day.
He's getting pressured all sides, Martin.
The mystery man of Manchester, the mystery mank. What are your policies? Tell us. Immigration, taxation, defence, everything. The people have a right to know. 0.086% of the entire British electorate voted for Andy Burnham in Makerfield, and now he's going to waltz into number 10 and do what the heck he wants without anybody even knowing the plan. I think that's outrageous. Thank you very much, Andrew Rosendale. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, still to come, we'll ask if Scotland can make history tonight by beating Brazil for the first time and reaching the next round of the World Cup. If you believe in that, you must believe in unicorns. And also next, there's a shocking new report on maternity care at an NHS trust. More than 500 mothers and babies died or suffered potentially avoidable harm as a result of deeply embedded systemic failures. That is in my home city of Nottingham. Incredible story. This is GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. We're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to 3:30 with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now to a truly shocking report that says more than 500 mothers and babies died or suffered potentially avoidable harm due to long-standing and deeply embedded systemic failures at a hospital trust. An inquiry has found the leaders at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust knew there were serious issues in its maternity department going back years, but incredibly, they failed to take action to prevent more deaths. Well, GB News' national reporter Jack Carson is outside the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham, somewhere I know very, very well. My family have had their lives saved there. Jack Carson, a truly staggering report.
Absolutely, Martin. Just to say before I begin this report that some of the details are something which some viewers may find distressing. But Donna Ockenden, who's the senior midwife who commissioned and led this review from September 2022 onwards, speaking to over 2,500 families, 800 members of staff, her and her team, she described vulnerable women being systematically dismissed, while powerful leaders were described as having infected the unit. She says there were themes with the experiences of those who came into contact with the maternity unit here at the Nottingham University Hospitals Trust, saying it was a failure to listen, a failure to investigate, a failure to learn, and those being hauntingly consistent, it's described, from 2012 to 2025, saying that women who raised concerns about their babies were told they were anxious and imagining it, that women in labour were turned away repeatedly, often after multiple calls for help. Now, the Nottinghamshire University Hospitals Trust acknowledges their responsibilities here. They say that there is more to do, and while important changes have been made, we believe our services are now safer, kinder and better led. They said they will take time to reflect on the report with humility, honesty and determination. But let's just go into some of the things that this review has found. It's found that there is a toxic culture of bullying within the unit, that there are multiple examples where failures in neonatal care may have contributed to the long-term brain injury and adverse neurodevelopment outcomes in babies, saying that leadership instability was a major contributing factor for affecting safety, finding that in several cases following birth, babies who demonstrated signs of poor feeding, possible infection, were not appropriately assessed or escalated, leading to avoidable harm and, in some cases, death. There was also evidence that harm was downgraded. Some families were told that their babies had died of natural causes. Martin, this simply was not true. The review says that across multiple cases and across over many years, opportunities to recognise deterioration, escalate concerns and intervene appropriately were missed. As you were saying, over 500 different mothers and babies affected by this, potentially avoidable outcomes found for 444 maternity cases in the build-up to May 2025, alongside 76 neonatal cases, 31 reviews into baby neonatal deaths. 8 of those 31 neonatal deaths were found to have been preventable. And perhaps, I think, the most shocking of all of this in the report was the failure to protect the dignity of those deceased. Part of the review examined 17 babies and 1 adult who died and looked at what happened to them after death. 1 early gestation baby, Martin, was disposed as clinical waste. There was examples of dehumanising language by clinicians and poor mortuary care, including failure to comply with legal requirements. I have to say that Nottinghamshire Police have said 2 men have been arrested this week in connection with operating practices in the mortuary service provided by the Trust. The Health Secretary today apologised to those families on behalf of the National Health Service, pledged to deliver lasting change, saying we will reflect on these findings and lessons, and these lessons from Nottingham will form part of their national plan to deliver improvements into maternal and neonatal care for all families.
Thank you, Jack Carson, for joining us there from outside of the Queen's Medical Centre, my home city of Nottingham. Thank you. Nigel Nelson, quick response from you. I just find it like so chilling when you hear things like this. 2 kids myself, you know, the notion that a baby can be disposed of in the waste is just grotesque. Yeah, and one thing I just want to add is that look at the Vauda Callacane case, Nottingham again, NHS Trust there, the police, the mental health facilities, what's going on in Nottingham. And this report surely won't be enough unless specific people are held to account.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, these are the kind of stories that really do make my blood boil. And it's largely because warnings were given. Back in 2018, 50 staff wrote in and said, this is not good enough. We're understaffed. We're not able to cope with what is going on here, and nothing was done. And the problem is you have an inquiry, but you have an inquiry sometime after the event when a lot of the damage has been done. And what we should be doing is there must be a system whereby when things start to go wrong, an alert is sounded and something is done about it.
I totally and utterly agree. Thank you, Nigel. Now, still to come. Looks like it's going to be the hottest June day ever today. Some scientists say this shows the need to step up the drive for net zero. But I'll be joined by an author next who says that is completely and utterly wrong.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and northern Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually, with something fresher coming in from the west, with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. Motorists on the M4 westbound between junctions 24 and 26 face congestion. The M62 eastbound in Kirklees has a lane closed at junction 25 due to load spillage, expected to clear by 5:06 p.m. A broken down vehicle delays M1 southbound near Luton, with normal conditions expected by 3:45 p.m. The M25 clockwise in Surrey is shut between junctions 5 and 6 after a collision, with normal traffic expected between 7:45 and 8 p.m. And on the trains, major disruption affects East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. Time is 3:38 with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, it looks like today is going to be the hottest June day ever in the United Kingdom. Well, that's at least since records began not that long ago. Anyway, forecasters expect the temperature in some parts of the country to go past the current record of 35.6 degrees Celsius, which was set in the long, hot summer of 1976. I remember it well. Now, this heat wave has come at a time when the Labour government is leading the drive towards net zero. But actually, is this man-made climate change, or is it just climate change? Well, I'm joined now by Dr. Bjorn Lomborg, who is the author of the book The Sceptical Environmentalist. Bjorn, a pleasure to have your company. It's hot today, and of course, the world's going to end. We're all going to die, and it's all because of us, the evil humans.
So first of all, yes, it is incredibly hot. I'm just here at the Olympia Center, and there's not much air conditioning, so it is really hot. So look, climate change is a real problem, and it's likely that climate change makes heat waves more frequent. So yes, there is a part of this that's man-made, but again, remember, what can you do to fix this? You do what everyone has done around the world if they're wealthy and rich. You get air conditioning. You also should make sure you get cooler cities, like more greenery, more white surfaces. These are easy and simple problems to solve, unless you mostly have an ideological agenda. You say, no, we got to stop using fossil fuels, and somehow that's magically going to help. No, if you stop using fossil fuels, it simply means you're going to swelter even more. Yes, you'll eventually reduce temperatures a tiny bit, but what you're doing right now is making a lot of people suffer. So fundamentally, get a lot of air conditioning, get cooler cities.
The problem with that, though, Dr. Lomborg, there's an article in today's Financial Times, and it's not an April the Fool's joke, saying that air conditioning is now far right. Because if you want air conditioning, then you must not agree with the climate change agenda. Therefore, you're a fascist. It's ridiculous.
It really is. And again, remember, the U.S. has seen increasing temperatures over the last century, yet the number of people dying from heat waves have gone down dramatically. Why? Because they have lots of air conditioning. We know how to fix this. And of course, also remember, while everybody right now, and understandably because it's very hot, talks about heat waves, the real and biggest problem for all of Europe and really for all of the world is cold deaths. So remember, a lot more people die in England because of cold than from heat. In Europe, it's more than 4 times more than die from cold than from heat. And so again, if you go through a net zero policy, you will inevitably end up in a place where you have many more people who can't afford to keep their homes heated, let alone cool in the summer, but also heat it in the winter. And that leads to many more deaths. So again, yes, climate change is a problem. Yes, climate change is one of many problems we need to fix. But fixing it this stupidly as we're doing right now, which costs a lot, leaves consumers with enormously high energy costs and actually don't fix most of the problems, is just ridiculous.
And is the problem that to install more air conditioning, let's be absolutely frank, the most efficient way of doing that is with electricity that uses fossil fuels? And so as a consequence, there's almost this situation where we know it's getting hotter. In fact, the liberal left tell us it's getting hotter. They tell us it's our fault, and yet we're not allowed to do anything about it. Because if we do, that'll be extremist, that'll be far right, that'll be burning fossil fuels. So are we like one of those frogs in a pan that just slowly dies as it gets hotter?
Yeah, no, look, the world is not going to end or anything near because of global warming. Global warming is if you ask a climate economist, a 2 to 3% problem. So by the end of the century, we will be 2 or 3% less well off than we otherwise would be. That's a significant problem. But it's by no means the most important problem of the age. Actually, if you look at most problems, they're much bigger. And of course, remember, by the end of the century, hopefully, if we do smart policy, we'll be much, much richer. So instead of being, as the UN estimate, 450% as rich as we are today, we will only be 435% as rich. It's still a much, much better world. The real point here is to say, if you stop using fossil fuels, especially if you ask poor people around the world to stop using fossil fuels, it means they can't get out of poverty. It means they can't even grow their food, because remember, half of the world's food is produced with fossil fuel fertilizer. And there are many, many other problems along that line. So yes, climate change is a problem. No, it's not the end of the world. And the way we try to politicize this and only say we should focus on very, very poor policies will actually end up making the world and the solutions worse off. That's not a good way to go.
Magnificent stuff. Thank you very, very much for giving us your time today. Superb. Dr. Bjorn Lomborg, of course, the author of The Skeptical Environmentalist. Thank you very much, sir. Let's get back to studio. Nigel Nelson, you were scorning and furrowing your brow throughout all of that, but he's got a point. We're getting hotter, but we're not allowed to put the aircon on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can take the point about aircon, especially having spent the morning over at the House of Commons, where the air conditioning is absolutely appalling. However, that's not a solution. Aircon will cool us down on a day like this. What we've got to do somehow is keep temperatures down to 1.5 degrees of industrial levels. That's essential. If the Maldives aren't to flood, if the ice caps aren't to melt and seas rise, if we're not going to get days like this, which will stretch into weeks and months.
You think all of the above is happening because we turn aircon on? This is absurd.
No, I don't think it's because we turn aircon on. Aircon would be one of the many things. It is burning fossil fuels since the Industrial Revolution, and ever since 1850, that's been building up. There's been a cumulative
That's when
effect.
records began, but Britain was much hotter in the Roman times than it is now. Was that because of global warming?
No, because, I mean, climate does change, and Bjorn mentioned that. Climate changes.
There we go.
But we can now put this particular climate change down to human action, and it's human action that can actually halt it.
OK, that's your take on it. Nigel Nelson now. We've got a quick right to reply, have we? No, from the government? No, we haven't got that. Coming up next, all the latest on the heat wave. Could the temperature soar past 40 degrees Celsius this week? But meanwhile, if you're in search of some holiday sun, why do you want to do that if we've got the sun here? Anyway, here's a forecast from the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The exceptional heat continues over parts of France for the next few days at least. Meanwhile, 1 or 2 thundery showers possible in Sardinia and some wet weather heading to Portugal. Most of the eastern end of the Mediterranean, though, dry and sunny. Small chance of an isolated shower inland over Greece. Chance of some heavy showers over Sardinia, as I said, but much of northern Italy dry and sunny. Southern Spain also dry and sunny, but some showery rain heading its way into Portugal, affecting Lisbon and Porto. Temperatures back on the rise in Rome for the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by 2 hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. Time is 3:49. You're with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, red hot warnings are in place today as temperatures, as you may have noticed, are expected to soar past the UK's June record of 35.6 degrees centigrade. Now, hundreds of schools across the country are closed, including my kids, as temperatures soar. Meanwhile, train passengers are being told to avoid non-essential travel. Well, join me now from a boiling hot Brighton is GB News national reporter Will Godley. Will, you're in the best place possible there, up to your ankles in water down the seaside. Not at all jealous.
Martin, it's certainly beautiful here on Brighton Beach. I don't know where it's warmer, in your studio or out here on the beach. It's about 31 degrees. The temperature's dropped slightly from its peak around lunchtime at 34. And now it's just a beautiful temperature, and the beach really is filling up as people have finished school, finished work, and come to enjoy the sunshine and the cool sea here. Take a look around, because it's really packing up and people enjoying themselves. People here in their England tops just haven't even bothered taking their clothes off. Just gone gone straight and jumped in. There's people on paddleboards out there, jet skis, and also boats out there as well, enjoying the warm weather. I'm wading in here to cool down, but also to speak to Ralph, who's just got to the beach here to enjoy himself. Ralph, you've been at homeschool today. How hot was it in your house?
Incredibly hot. It's like 30 degrees plus. Just really nice to get out and enjoy the really nice sun outside and get a cool down in the sea.
This must just be the best time of year to be living in Brighton.
Yeah. It's a really nice one-off because we don't usually get this big a heat wave, which is quite nice. It's more like Mediterranean, which, yeah, I'm really, really glad we got it.
And there's this red heat warning in place today. Lots of people urging people to take precautions and stay safe in the heat. Is that something you're worried about, it being so hot?
Not really for myself, but maybe for the elderly or sick or whatever. But I think for me, I'm all right with it.
Wonderful. And how refreshing is this being in the sea?
It's amazing, yeah.
How long do you plan on staying in?
Probably half an hour, and then just sunbathe, then get back in, back and forth.
Beautiful. And you were saying that you come in here even in the depths of winter as well.
Yeah.
How different is it today?
Yeah, it's today it's really nice. Pretty sort of chilly, but it's all right. We just get used to it. In the winter, you can't go in for more than a few minutes because you just get way too cold.
Amazing. Well, Ralph, thanks for talking to us on GB News. Lots of people, I'm getting a bit splashed, enjoying themselves here on the beach today. But of course, it's not just an enjoyment for people, this hot weather. It can also cause havoc for people across the country. Many train operators urging people today not to travel, and that warning going into tomorrow, as well as this hot weather causing speed restrictions on the railway lines and making it very difficult for people to travel. That's on many of the key rail lines across the country. And also, Martin, as you said, many schools closed today. The number looks near 1,000 schools in this red zone, a large part of the south of England and into Wales. It's been extended today, this red area, to where we are now on the south coast. It goes from London all the way down here along the south coast towards Somerset, into Wales and up into Birmingham as well. And it's staying red into tomorrow with what looks to be another hot night as well, because the Met Office aren't just saying it's the hot weather, but also the hot nights and also the humidity, which is causing real problems for people. Age UK urging the elderly to take precautions and alter their routines, not staying cool in the heat of the day and going out perhaps in the early mornings and evenings as well. And that's why we're seeing Brighton Beach perhaps get more busy as the day has progressed here. At the peak of the day, it was slightly empty. People perhaps erring on the side of caution, not wanting to risk the heat, but now it really is filling up. Lots of people enjoying themselves today, and it's certainly been an enjoyable day for me today as well. I've been out of the chippy, learning how to make a Mr. Whippy as well, and we've also been seeing this little train that goes along Brighton Beach as well. Perhaps it's the only railway line working properly today.
Well, godly, beautiful stuff. Don't have too much fun. Next hour, please, in the name of equality, could you bring us a girl in a bikini? Only joking. Thank you very much, Will Godley, for joining us there down on Brighton Beach. Now, coming up next, Andy Burnham, we hear, the mystery man of Manchester, is considering watering down Labour's migration clampdown on indefinite leave to remain. That's next here on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually with something fresher coming in from the west with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Traffic congestion is worsening westbound on the M4 between junctions 24 and 26, causing significant delays. The M1 southbound in Rotherham has one lane closed between junctions 33 and 32, expected to normalise by 4:15 p.m. In Surrey, the M25 clockwise is completely closed between junctions 5 and 6 due to a serious accident, with reopening anticipated around 8 p.m. And on the trains, major disruptions are affecting East Midlands Railway and Thameslink between London St Pancras International and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Phew, what a scorcher. Good afternoon. It's 4 p.m. Welcome to the Martin Daubney Show here on GB News, broadcasting for you all the way through until 6 p.m. Pardon the lack of jacket, but it's boiling in here. And here's what's coming up on today's show.
Our inquiry is about providing accountability to those victims and survivors for why so many people knew this was happening in plain sight, but didn't act, looked the other way.
Charlie Peters exclusive. Oldham, Bradford and Keighley and London have all now been confirmed by the National Inquiry into grooming gangs as the first locations have been selected for local investigations. Justice at last for survivors. Also today, Andy Burnham is considering, we hear, watering down Labour's clampdown on indefinite leave to remain. Now that means up to 1.7 million of those Boris wave immigrants will be able to stay in the United Kingdom forever from next year. Now, is this a sign of things to come from the man that Nigel Farage has called Open Borders Burnham? And on his first day in office, Sir Keir Starmer scrapped the Conservative Rwanda deportation plan, but guess what? Now the European Union countries are demanding Brussels implements identical return hubs in Rwanda to help curb spiralling uncontrolled immigration. Here's the question. Was scrapping Rwanda Sir Keir Starmer's first and greatest mistake? And BBC News is set to use British licence fee payers' money to target foreign viewers overseas in a bid to chase advertising revenue. Now, BBC rules mean that ads can't run in Britain, but they can run overseas. So here's the point. Why not put adverts everywhere and scrap the BBC licence fee altogether? Finally, the largest maternity review in NHS history has found hundreds of mothers and babies died or were seriously harmed due to deeply embedded systemic failures in my home city of Nottingham. And today, you may have noticed, it's getting hot. Well, all of Europe is grinding to a halt with record-breaking heat waves. Train services in Britain have been cut. Hundreds of schools have closed, including my kids, as temperatures could reach record 35.7 degrees Celsius today. We'll be live for you all across the scorching spots in the country. Reporters having ice creams, reporters paddling in the sea. Not at all jealous. That's all coming up in your next hour. And I think we've got some breaking news for you now. I think we have reached the all-time record high temperature. Is that correct, Rob? 35.7 degrees in Surrey. It's a record breaker. The hottest June day ever recorded is there. If you're in Surrey, get in touch. Is it doing your head in? Do you quite like it? I remember 1976. I was 6. It was the most magnificent summer of my life. Today, my kids came in from school and had a water fight and we had a bag of chips. I love it. Some people absolutely hate it. We're having all the latest on the heat wave. And Andy Burnham, what does he stand for? The mystery man of Manchester, the mystery Manc. What are his policies on immigration, on taxation, on land grabs? We simply don't know. But we have heard today from friendly media he's considering watering down plans to extend the limit to 10 years before you can stay in Britain down to 5. That would mean 1.7 million Brits who came here under Boris Johnson can stay here forever. And guess who pays the bill? You've guessed it. You, the great British taxpayer. Get in touch. The usual ways. Today's show, gbnews.com/you'll say is the way to do so. Or scan the QR code on your screens now. Stay cool. There's your headlines with Katie Bone.
Martin, thank you and good afternoon. The headlines at 4 minutes past 4. Sir Keir Starmer has defended his record as Labour leader in his first Prime Minister's questions since announcing his resignation. Downing Street has also indicated this afternoon that Sir Keir Starmer intends to stay on as a backbench MP for the rest of this Parliament, despite standing down as leader. At PMQs this lunchtime, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch challenged the Prime Minister to say whether he felt betrayed and let down by his own party, as well as asking about the long-awaited defence investment plan.
2 years ago, I walked into Number 10 and found a broken economy, broken public services and broken trust in politics. Because of our decisions, my decision, the country is moving in the right direction, a stronger and a fairer Britain, ending austerity, investing in our public services, the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years, more rights for workers, more rights for renters, standing with Ukraine, Britain's reputation restored and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty. Change promised by a Labour government, fought for by a Labour government.
In other news, more than 500 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or died due to deeply embedded systemic failures at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. A review led by senior midwife Donna Ockenden has concluded. The inquiry found leaders at the Trust knew there were serious issues in its maternity department going back years, but failed to take action to prevent more deaths. Overall, 520 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or death, including 94 babies who were stillborn. The chairman of Nottingham University Hospital NHS Trust, Nick Carver, has apologised unreservedly to the women and families who have suffered harm, loss, trauma or distress while receiving care in their services, and said that the Trust will work on a meaningful apology and further improvement plans. More than 1,000 schools in England and Wales are shut or closing early as temperatures soar across the UK. A red weather warning for extreme heat covering parts of England and Wales is in place as temperatures could reach close to 40 degrees Celsius. The Met Office are advising the elderly and vulnerable to stay indoors and are urging the public to reconsider lengthy travel plans. Humid conditions are also expected to persist well after sunset, bringing the prospect of tropical nights to parts of the UK where temperatures remain above 20 degrees Celsius. And a train driver who died in a crash near Bedford had passed a red signal moments before the collision, investigators say. The Rail Accident Investigation Branch revealed the finding in a statement today. More than 100 people were injured in the collision, which saw one train smash into the back of another on the same line, with 53 people remaining in hospital as of Monday. The driver who died at the scene was named as 60-year-old Sean Burton. Those are your latest GB News headlines. A quick look at the finance.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
And 1.16 euros. The price of gold is £3,053 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 10,434 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Thank you, Katie. Now then, who is the mystery man of Manchester? Andy Burnham, of course, because allies of Mr Burnham have suggested today that if he becomes the next Prime Minister, which now looks, let's face it, certain, he could scrap tougher settlement rules for migrants already in the United Kingdom. Now, under proposals being considered by ministers, the time required for many migrant workers to qualify for permanent residency was set to double to 10 years from 5. Now, this comes after a heated PMQs earlier on, where Sir Keir Starmer said he was very pleased with Burnham's win in Makerfield. I'm joined in the studio by our political editor, Christopher Hope, and also our senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson. Gentlemen, welcome back to the studio. Chris, let's start with you. We don't know anything about Andy Burnham. We don't know his policies on anything. We've heard he wants to raise taxes, he wants to do land taxes, he wants to have a death tax to pay into social care. And today, a leak in the iPaper, let's face it, a friendly media outlet that approves of Andy Burnham being the Prime Minister, they're saying he's doing a U-turn already. During the Makerfield campaign, he was saying he agreed with Shabana Mahmood's clampdown to make it 10 years before you're allowed to stay in Britain. Now, as the reporter today, he wants to halve that to 5 years. That means almost 2 million immigrants who came here under Boris Johnson will be allowed to stay here forever. I put it to you, the mystery man of Manchester needs to be ruthlessly grilled. We need to know what he stands for.
Well, part of the problem is we don't know what he stands for, so you have people trying to push him into positions where he may not be at all. So reports in the I newspaper saying that Andy Burnham is being pressured not to go ahead with Shabana Mahmood's plans to increase indefinite leave to remain from 5 to 10 years and make it harder to stay here for migrants. That's where the left of the party is, but that may not be where Andy Burnham is. I was there in Ashton Town Football Club last Friday when he talked about this Makerfield test. The test, what goes down well with Makerfield is almost what he believes in. He also talked about HMO Britain, housing as a houses of multiple occupation. These are being filled up around the country as the hotels are emptied of migrants in communities and areas where people watch GB News, for example, or listen to our radio channel. He gets the need for for being tougher on migration, and that's why we expect him to keep Shabana Mahmood in place there. So I think because he's a blank canvas, Martin, you're seeing interest groups lobbying him, putting stories out there, trying to push him into positions he doesn't want to be in. We've been here before with Keir Starmer, though, as Nigel Nelson knows. This could backfire on him.
Yeah, bear in mind what he actually said was that he agreed with Shabana Mahmood's broad thrust of the policy, not all of it.
Right.
So the bit he doesn't like and the bit Labour MPs don't like is the retrospective element. So at the moment, you could have been here 3 years and you're out, and you're looking forward to another 2 years to get your indefinite leave to remain.
Well, that means he doesn't agree with Shabana Mahmood, because Shabana Mahmood says anybody who came here, you know, who hasn't presently got indefinite leave to remain, will now face this higher 10-year threshold.
And what you could do is make it for everyone who comes here in the future.
Oh, right. So that means 2 million, no problemo, you're simply coming in, and that's all we can do about it. Gentlemen, I want to get my next guest in now. That's the former Labour Minister and the Telegraph columnist, Tom Harris. Tom, welcome to the show. A pleasure to have your company. I'm sure you'll agree that people have a right to know what Andy Burnham stands for. We don't know anything about any of his policies. He's guaranteed, by the looks of it, to be Prime Minister. No examination of anything he stands for. He's going to walk into Downing Street, and he could be open borders Burnham. We simply don't know.
He could be open borders Burnham. I don't think that's one that's going to stick. I mean, the one thing I know about Andy Burnham is he's ambitious, he wants to succeed, and he is very political, unlike his predecessor. And he understands, I'm pretty sure, that he cannot lead Labour to victory at the next general election with a reputation of being open borders Burnham. I think, we'll have to wait to see what the cabinet looks like when he's finally appointed. But if he does keep Shabana Mahmood as Home Secretary, that'll be a pretty good indication that he is going to support her, even against the feelings of Labour backbenchers. Now, you're right, the left wing of the Labour Party, a great number of Labour MPs don't like what Shabana Mahmood is doing. I think, unlike Keir Starmer, Andy Burnham is not going to take any nonsense from them. He will whip them through the lobbies to get those reforms through.
Do you think that's true, though, Tom Harris? Because Andy Burnham has made a career out of being liked. He likes being popular. But popular people don't make good leaders, because you can't be popular with the left who want open borders, popular with the left who don't want any clampdown on benefits, and at the same time popular with people in Makerfield and the broader electorate. The political class, full stop, haven't done anything they've been told on immigration since at least 2010. Andy Burnham can't please all parties, and pretty soon reality is going to bite, Tom. They've got just a short summer to put their policy platform together, and come September, if the answers aren't right, if it looks like this is a weak, left-wing, woke government, it's all going to explode pretty sharpish.
I agree with that analysis, but what I don't agree with is that Andy Burnham will be the same as Keir Starmer. The reason Starmer failed, one of the many reasons that Starmer failed, is because he thought he could please everybody. And Andy Burnham is a politician, which Starmer was not. He has been in the game for a very long time, and call him cynical by all means. I suspect he wouldn't take that as a criticism, but he understands the game he's got to play, and he understands he's got to deliver before the next general election, and he knows he can't do that if all he does is spend all of his time trying to appease the various factions of the Labour Party. He knows that can't work. One other thing I wanted to say is that it's just been announced that his Chief of Staff in Number 10 will be James Purnell. Now, I think this is a brilliant appointment. James is a first-class politician. He hasn't been in politics since 2010, but he remains a very good guide star for Andy Burnham. I was reassured when I saw that he was going to be, the new Morgan McSweeney in Number 10, and I think he will talk a lot of sense to Andy.
OK, well, let's see what happens. We've got the summer. The clock is ticking. Thank you very much indeed. Tom Harris, former Labour Minister and Telegraph columnist. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go on straight to my next story now, because less than 2 years after the Labour Party scrapped plans to send migrants back to Rwanda, in fact, Keir Starmer scrapped it on day one, some European Union countries now want to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. You couldn't make it up. Germany, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, Greece and others are all pushing ahead with a scheme to process people who have had their asylum rejected in Rwanda and also in Uzbekistan. Seriously, you could not make this one up. And I'm joined now by John Vine, who's the former independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration. John Vine, I hope you're staying cool out there, Captain. It's always a pleasure to have your company. This is a farce. And I put it to you, John, if this policy is good enough for Brussels, why on earth did Keir Starmer think it wasn't good enough for Britain?
Well, it's a different type of policy, actually, when you read the detail. So what's happened is that there's been a law passed within the EU to allow EU states to send people to these countries when their asylum claims have failed. So when they've applied for asylum and that's been refused and all their appeal rights have been exhausted, then what these countries are now seeking to do is to have agreements with Uzbekistan. It's been suggested Uganda as well as Rwanda. And for them to be held there pending deportation to their country of original origin. So it's slightly different from the Rwanda scheme that we had envisaged, which was designed to be a deterrent where people coming here illegally in the UK would be sent to Rwanda, processed there, and then a decision would be made on whether they would stay there or obviously be deported. So it's a different variation, but of course all these countries are facing the same problems as we are. And it's an attempt to try and get a grip of the whole problem.
And that's the point. At least it has some kind of fangs. But, John, there could be an unintended consequence to all of this, because if people start realising, if they go to Germany or the Netherlands or Greece, and if their claims are found out to be bogus, they're going to be shipped off to Rwanda, they're going to start coming to Britain in greater numbers, aren't they?
Well, one of the reasons why they're discussing this arrangement with countries in Asia and Africa is that the European countries don't want them to go to anywhere that's near the European bloc, because they fear that people will be, sought by organised crime and offered incentives to come back as illegal migrants into the bloc. So they want to place them as far away as they possibly can from the countries to which they've entered illegally.
But, John Vine, if you look at the accommodation in Rwanda there, I've been on worse holidays. I mean, look at it. I mean, you might as well just put a cocktail bar in there, John Vine. The way we were sold this by the Labour government is this was like Auschwitz. I mean, look, this is perfectly hospitable, respectable, well-built, taxpayer-funded accommodation. This was never a mean-spirited policy. Nevertheless, Keir Starmer pulled the plug on day one.
Well, the irony is, of course, we've paid for much of this. I mean, it's been put together. What you've been seeing now is something that, of course, the British taxpayer, helped pay for, before the scheme was abandoned. So it looks as though, European countries are seizing the opportunity to see if they can take advantage of what it would appear has already been constructed.
And John Vine, again, I just want to put that point to you. If you're a legal migrant now, think about entering the Schengen area, and you have a plethora of choices. Everybody have choices about whether they choose to claim asylum, because they don't claim it in the first country they go to. We know that. That's why so many end up on the beaches of Calais and then come to the beaches of Dover. If you're thinking, I'll tell you what, if I've got a bogus story, and a lot of them know they have, and they think, well, if I go to Germany or the Netherlands or Greece and I get found out, I'll be carted off to Uzbekistan or Rwanda. You might think, actually, I'll just go to Britain because I won't get deported from there because they're a soft touch.
No, well, because we're a third country. We're not part of the European bloc. So if the European bloc brings in a deterrent like this, and apparently whatever arrangement each European country makes with whatever country has to be approved by the European bloc government, the Commission. So if they have a scheme like this, then of course it may be that people will choose to attempt to enter here where we don't have such a scheme, as opposed to a European country.
I think that's exactly what will happen. John Vine, thank you very much for joining us on this sizzling, record-breaking temperature day. Former Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, John Vine, thank you very much indeed. Let's get back to the studio. Chris, John Vine raises an excellent point there. We had this deterrent in our grasp. It was scrapped on day one, and now Brussels are bringing something similar in. And what's going to happen is they'll think, I might get deported to Rwanda if I go to Germany or Sweden. I'll go to Britain instead.
But it's hard to get to us through the landmass of the continent. But yeah, well, yes, it is. How do you go around? I mean, otherwise you're going to go
200,000 have arrived since this government got elected.
They come through the European Union, so presumably they would have their first contact with their first country in Germany or France, wherever they land, would deport them to wherever they're going to come from.
Only if they attempt to claim asylum. They'll just choose to not claim asylum in a country that's going to deport them and instead come here. That's my point.
Anecdotally, it was working, the Rwanda plan. We saw that, didn't we? Reporting of people going south into the island, staying in northern France, not coming north, and then in comes Keir Starmer and axes it all on the second day in power. I think that was a mistake not to carry on with it. Nigel doesn't agree, though.
Nigel Nelson, this effectively now means we will be the soft touch of deportation in all of mainland Europe.
As John pointed out, it's a completely different plan that Europe is coming up with. So what our plan was the Illegal Migration Act to make migrants inadmissible. Not illegal, you notice, they were called inadmissible. At that point, they would have been sent straight to Rwanda. Supreme Court then turns around and says that that would be unlawful. The point basically is that, yes, they could come back. I mean, Israel sent people to Rwanda, gave up the scheme because what the migrants did was try and get into Europe, having tried and failed with Israel. The other point is it was never shown to be a deterrent. We spent £700 million on it, sent 4 people voluntarily.
Well, no, because the numbers were increasing to Ireland. If people had a choice of the land block of Ireland and the United Kingdom,
as Chris said, that evidence was anecdotal. We never had any firm evidence it acted as a deterrent, as we've seen, because the numbers went up.
The concern is, though, Nigel, is that the new Labour government didn't want to see if it was going to work. They just axed it as a Tory idea.
Because it would have cost £10 billion to carry on with it, and only a few hundred people would have been included.
OK, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, still to come, we'll ask if Scotland can make history tonight by beating Brazil for the first time and reaching the next round of the World Cup. Do you believe in miracles? This is next on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Phew, what a scorcher. It is 4:25. Back to that breaking news now. Officially, this is the hottest June day on record that has now been reached in Surrey, with temperatures scorching, 35.7 degrees centigrade. Incredible. Well, joining now from a boiling hot Brighton is GB News national reporter Will Godley. Will, last time you're up to your ankles in the sea. What's the latest?
Well, Martin, officially the hottest June day. You might be able to see the beads of sweat forming on my forehead. It's certainly very warm here. This is a record that hasn't been broken for half a century. Of course, the last time the record in June was even equalled was in 1976. That was in Southampton when the temperatures reached 35.6 degrees. But today we've done one better, 35.7 degrees recorded in Charwood, Surrey, and certainly feeling very warm here as well. The highest temperatures it reached here was 34 degrees, and take a look at how people are enjoying it on the beach here. I've got two beach goers who we can chat to now, Elizabeth and Caitlin. Thanks for joining us on GB News. Caitlin, Elizabeth, let me first speak with you. What's your reaction to the fact that we've had the hottest June day on record?
It's crazy. It's feeling very hot, especially at this time. And I know like the UV is still really strong, so lathered in sun cream and drinking a lot of water.
And Elizabeth, you were telling me you're from Manchester, so how are you coping in the heat?
Not too bad. It's okay. I lived in the States for a while, so it's kind of, I'm used to it, but it's still really hot.
And of course there are these red extreme heat warnings telling us there's a risk to life. How are you feeling about those? Are you worried about them? Are you taking precautions today?
We're slathered in sunscreen, we're drinking a lot of water, we just got some ice cream, so we're feeling pretty good.
Wonderful. Well, as you said, you lived in the States for a bit of time, and this is how these two became friends, Martin, because Caitlin, let me come over here. You're from Texas. You were telling me you find all of this a little bit funny. We're making such a song and dance about the heat today.
I do. I understand, like, it's different cultures and there's no AC here, but it's currently 10 a.m. at home and about the same temperature, so I don't know, it's funny, but I get it. It's hot.
I mean, the difference is in Texas, you've got air conditioning.
Yes.
You're able to cope a lot more with the heat. What do you think of the way we're equipped for the heat here? Do you think more needs to be done?
I think so. I think more people need to get some air conditioning in their houses. I've seen all like the World Cup things, and everyone's like saying, like in the States, like, oh, everyone's going to come back from that and start putting aircon in their houses.
Amazing. Well, thanks both for talking to us today, Martin. As officially the hottest June day on record reached today in Surrey, 35.7 degrees.
Will Godley, I totally agree with your guess there. Could you tell her my sister lives in Katy, Texas, 37 degrees? That's just a bit balmy. Thank you very much indeed. Will Godley joining us from Brighton Beach. Looks absolutely superb. Now back to earth, a serious story and a huge victory now. News of a major win for nurses who took legal action against the NHS over a trans colleague using single-sex changing rooms. Now, 7 members of the day surgery unit at Darlington Memorial Hospital, they brought a claim against County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust, and the trust has now formally apologised to the 7 women and will pay £187,000 in damages. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Bethany Hutchinson, who is the president of Darlington Nursing Union and led that claim. Bethany, welcome to the show, and may I say congratulations on a superb victory.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And tell us about the case. For those who don't recall the case, of course, this was over the fact a trans colleague was changing in front of you, and that started a chain reaction that led to where we are today.
It It did indeed, yes. It was in 2023 that we came across a male using the female changing room, and we hoped that we could raise this concern at a sort of local level and that it would be dealt with quietly. But unfortunately, the Trust really pushed back, and we were told that we needed to be educated and broaden our mindset and compromise, to which we thought absolutely not. And we took our Trust to a tribunal and we won.
It's perfectly reasonable, is it not, for a woman in a woman's safe space to raise perfectly valid concerns about your privacy being invaded, and yet the NHS initially told you to shut up and go away?
Yes, absolutely. We were actually ostracised. The women that raised the concern were actually ostracised from the female changing room, and we were put in a converted office, and we were told to stay in there.
Apology today. It's been a long battle. It's taken its toll, no doubt, emotionally. There has been a financial payout. Are you happy? Are you satisfied that justice has been served?
I mean, we are delighted. Myself and the other nurses are delighted. We are delighted that the policy has been removed, that they are going to commit to actually, having single-sex facilities. That it is a vast amount of money that has been paid out, which sadly could have been used to improve the NHS, could have been used to employ more nurses, improve facilities, and unfortunately the Trust decided to fight us on something that actually isn't a complex issue. It was a very, very simple thing that should have been done.
Bethany, to be absolutely clear, all along you've never wished any ill intent towards anyone from the trans community. You simply said they should have their own space, there should be protection for women, and a lot of people watching this would totally agree and say, well, could this be a new normal? Could the case in Darlington, with you 7 heroes, set a new benchmark for common sense elsewhere across the country?
I think that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that this sets a precedent across the country in various sectors, but specifically within the NHS. And we do hope that James Murray is paying attention and will support us in this.
Bethany Hutchinson, may I say, I know we've had you guys on the show before. It's been a long, hard battle for you. You've been abused, you've been vilified, you've been called all sorts of names. You stood fast. You stood by your guns and you've got justice. Could you put into words for us just the euphoria you're feeling today?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. It's a terrific win, but we've done this for all women and girls, and specifically staff that have been too afraid to actually speak up. So we are absolutely delighted.
I know you were backed by Christian Concern, who helped you, so a shout out to them as well. Bethany Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I know you're very busy. Bethany Hutchinson there, the president of Darlington Nursing Union, who led that claim. Thank you very much, Bethany. Quick reaction from you, Nigel Nelson, in the studio. And to repeat, they were never transphobic. They never wished harm upon anyone from the trans community. They just reasonably said they didn't want a biological male in their spaces, and the conversation and the ruling has found in their favour.
Yes.
That feels like common sense has been served.
That is what the Supreme Court said in their ruling. That's what should happen, that single-sex spaces must be preserved. And now they've got unisex changing rooms and toilets at Darlington Hospital, which is what they should have had all along, where people can then go of any sex.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Nigel Nelson. Now, still to come, 10 years after the Brexit vote yesterday, the former Labour Minister, Baroness Kate Hoey, says Brexit still hasn't been fully delivered in Northern Ireland. Is it time, finally, for a hard border? Baroness Hoey joins me next in the studio. First, though, here's your headlines with Katie Bowen.
Good afternoon. The headlines at 4:34 today has been declared the UK's hottest June day on record, with a provisional temperature of 35.7 degrees Celsius recorded in Surrey. A red weather warning for extreme heat is covering parts of the country, with the Met Office advising the elderly and vulnerable to stay indoors and also urging the public to reconsider lengthy travel plans. Paris has also recorded its hottest ever June temperature, reaching 40.9 degrees Celsius. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has defended his record as Labour leader in his first Prime Minister's question since announcing his resignation as Labour leader and Prime Minister. Downing Street also indicated this afternoon that Sir Keir Starmer intends to stay on as a backbench MP for the rest of this Parliament.
Because of our decisions, my decision, the country is moving in the right direction, a stronger and a fairer Britain.
In other news, a review led by senior midwife Donna Ockenden has concluded that more than 500 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or died due to deeply embedded systemic failures at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. Chairman Nick Carver has apologised unreservedly to the women and families, saying the Trust will work on a meaningful apology and further improvement plans. Those are your latest GB News headlines. More news at 5 o'clock.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually, with something fresher coming in from the west, with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Traffic is heavy on the M4 westbound between junctions 24 and 26. On the M62 eastbound at junction 25, 2 lanes are open due to a load spillage, expected to clear by 5:46 p.m. The M5 southbound at junction 4 has 1 lane closed due to an accident, clearing by 4:48 p.m. A broken down vehicle on the M1 southbound near Luton should clear by 5:45 p.m. All lanes are closed on the M25 clockwise between junctions 5 and 6 in Surrey due to a crash, with normal flow expected by 8:42 p.m. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. Time is 4:38 with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, 10 years after the Brexit vote, 10 years yesterday, the former Labour Minister, Baroness Kate Hoey, says Brexit still hasn't been fully delivered in Northern Ireland. Writing in The Telegraph, she urges that EU laws and regulations continue to apply in parts of the province under post-Brexit arrangements, describing the situation as a constitutional outrage. I'm delighted to be joined in the studio in Westminster by the former chair of the Northern Ireland Affairs Select Committee, Baroness Kate Hoey. Baroness Hoey, it's always a pleasure to have your company. 10 years yesterday was the big day, and from the very, very beginning, people like yourselves sounded the alarm that Northern Ireland would be left in the orbit of Brussels, and here we are 10 years on. You were right.
Yes, I mean, the reality is that the government at the time
gave in to pressure from the European Union and the Irish government in particular, pressurising the European Union that there could not possibly be any kind of border within Northern Ireland and the Republic, even though it's a separate independent country. And yes, we have a freedom of movement thing, but that didn't need to be affected on the trading aspect. We saw, first of all, the protocol, which Boris Johnson made very clear was only temporary. And when it's written in that it was only going to be temporary, but unfortunately Rishi Sunak came in and signed up what he said was a much wonderful, better deal, the Windsor Framework, and we've been left on. And I only wanted to raise it because, you know, I'm delighted we left the European Union. I was celebrating yesterday the Independence Day, but I just think we need to remind people, and particularly government and both the opposition parties and Reform, that actually nothing will really be complete until Northern Ireland is back fully integrated, because otherwise we're going to have all these differences that are growing between GB and Northern Ireland.
And you've written in the Telegraph today, the country remains subjugated under the jackboot of the European Union. Very dramatic words, but let's be serious. Recently, the recent events, the terrible stabbing in Belfast of the soft underbelly of the Sudanese individual who came from Dublin into Northern Ireland, the subsequent riots in Belfast have cruelly exposed the lack of border. Do you think it's time for a hard border?
Well, I think the word hard border is misused. I mean, what we want to see is what the Irish government have been doing quite regularly, is stopping buses and even on getting onto trains. Once they get over into the Republic of Ireland, they'll stop the bus, they'll come on and they'll ask for some identity. And then if the person is not eligible to be in the Republic, they simply put them on the next bus. The other way round, we don't do it. And even if we did, the way we work things, we would simply say, oh, well, now, you know, you can claim asylum. We don't send anyone back, ever, because we have this automatic idea that once you say you're an asylum seeker, even if you're obviously not an asylum seeker, then you're treated with all the support that gets to asylum seekers. The Republic of Ireland don't do that at all. So we need some reciprocal arrangements to stop it, because it will become more and more a way into the United Kingdom. Now, ironically, when the Rwanda plan was being discussed and looked like it might be implemented, it was going the other way. People were actually leaving and going down into the Republic more, because they thought then they would be safe there from being sent to Rwanda.
When you think back to the days of Michel Barnier, Jean-Claude Juncker, do you think they always weaponised Northern Ireland? They saw a weakness. They saw it was part of the same landmass on the island of Ireland. They played Northern Ireland as a pawn, and the British political class were asleep at the wheel.
Yes, I mean, Barnier is on record as actually saying, you know, Northern Ireland is going to be the punishment for leaving the European Union. And I'm afraid our governments, and it's only recently, you know, the Conservatives have begun to recognise that they made a mistake, and even Kemi Badenoch has more or less said that it's unsustainable. The Windsor Framework Reform has very clearly said that they will get rid of the Windsor Framework, come what may. And I think we have a very weak government at the moment who just want to pander to the European Union. And I'm afraid governments, there's been no real leadership on leaving the European Union. We could have had a much better deal if we'd been tougher and stronger.
Baroness Hoey, are you concerned? The mystery man of Manchester, Andy Burnham, who said...
The Messiah?
The Messiah. It's his open stated goal to rejoin the European Union in his lifetime. Are you concerned under the next Prime Minister? It's like a shoo-in, that would be Andy Burnham. That Brexit could be even further watered down.
Well, I actually feared Keir Starmer more, because he, of course, was responsible for holding back us leaving for nearly 3 years in Parliament. He was the lead person to stop us leaving and called for a second referendum. I think Andy Burnham recognises that his voters, even though many of them voted for him, they are actually still leavers. They're basically Reform supporters, many of them, but they wanted to get rid of Keir Starmer. So I think he will be more careful. And, you know, I just do not think that once we got into a debate about that any normal, average British person would think it was a good idea to go back into what is beginning to look like a failing economic unit. And it's just not worth it.
Well, let's bring in one of those abnormal people now.
Oh, who wants to go?
Who wants to rejoin the European Union? Nigel Nelson.
Yeah, I don't want to rejoin, but I'm in favour of the reset that we're trying to have with it. The problem with Northern Ireland was that nobody during the whole Brexit debate put any thought into what happens to the bit of the UK that has a land border with the EU.
Baroness,
I did, because I said it's a foreign country. I mean, the reality is the Ireland is that because we've got so many Irish diaspora people in this country who've got grandfathers in Britain, they've got this sort of Irish idea. There's somehow this idea that it isn't a foreign country. You can't have it both ways, you know. And therefore, there is a border, an international border.
What was recognised was that Northern Ireland is special because of 30 years of civil war behind it, and
because we gave in to terrorism.
Well, whatever the reasons were, it is the background to Northern Ireland. It was a special case, and part of it was to try and keep the border with the South open. Now, to protect the integrity of the single market, which is only fair from the EU's point of view, you then had to bring single market rules into Northern Ireland.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessary at all. I mean, what's happening now is that so many businesses in Northern Ireland don't trade with the European Union. They only trade with Great Britain, and they're now subject to all the paraphernalia of the extra money, the customs, and all of that didn't happen before. And there was no reason for that to happen. The Irish government has you know, as I said earlier, have actually stopped buses and so on. No one's talking about topic. The freedom of movement was about citizens of the British Isles, not illegal migrants.
OK, we have to do that. Baroness Cahill, you've still very much got the fire in your belly for Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for coming and see us in the studio today. Appreciate your time. And to you, Nigel Nelson. Coming up next. Beautiful stuff. Will those Scotland fans be celebrating after tonight's crucial, epic World Cup clash, Scotland versus Brazil? I'll look ahead to that shortly with a striker who was there in 1998. In fact, he won the penalty that Scotland scored against Brazil. Now, for some holiday sun, meanwhile, here's a forecast for some of your top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The exceptional heat continues over parts of France for the next few days at least. Meanwhile, 1 or 2 thundery showers possible in Sardinia and some wet weather heading to Portugal. Most of the eastern end of the Mediterranean, though, dry and sunny. Small chance of an isolated shower inland over Greece. Chance of some heavy showers over Sardinia, as I said, but much of northern Italy dry and sunny. Southern Spain also dry and sunny, but some showery rain heading its way into Portugal, affecting Lisbon and Porto. Temperatures back on the rise in Rome for the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
But there's a huge amount of psychological evidence. There's lots of theories about when people make decisions and follow them with actions, their behaviour becomes consistent with the choice they made. So if you get married, you're more likely to see each other with rose-tinted spectacles, that kind of thing. The signal value of marriage is absolutely huge. I was talking to a young couple who are newly engaged just the other day, and they said it was amazing how it actually changed the way that they felt about their relationship. So it does provide extra security, and doing it in front of your friends makes a huge difference as well. It holds you to account. So there's a huge psychology behind the act of marriage. So it would be weird if there wasn't any effect at all. I found that your family background, so your age, your education, income, affects about half of your chance of staying together.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The art world has lost its darling, probably the most respected, celebrated, influential artist of the 20th and 21st century. And as you say, career spanning 7 decades, whether you're looking at his portraits or his Californian swimming pools or his spectacular Yorkshire landscapes, he made art for the people. the art world can be a rather snobby place, which is unfortunate at times, but he made art for the people. If you think about the portraits, the people that he painted, whether it be Mr. and Mrs. Ossie Clark, the fashion designer, and Percy the cat, or Harry Styles, or a portrait of his carer.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I'm going to try and explain what SpaceX is. It's set to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. But it's not just about rockets. Everyone will be aware. OK, well, it'd be really nice if Elon Musk could could help us out with our tech here, because I'm trying to draw a rocket and we're not able to. What is going on? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid our very own. Let's see. No, we're not. I'll try and explain what's going on with SpaceX without any visual aids. How disappointing! It's three companies really. It's a rocket company, it's a communications company, and it's an AI company, all in one. It controls 84% of the commercial launch market in this country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. It is 10 to 5. If you're Scottish now, you're watching the minutes tick by, because Scotland have never got past the group stages of a major football tournament ever. But if they beat five-time world champions Brazil tonight, will they qualify for the last 32? Now, it's a big but we've got to believe in Mac miracles. And I'm joined now by the former Scotland international Kevin Gallagher, who played against Brazil in the 1998 World Cup. In fact, Kevin, I watched that match. It was the opener of that tournament. It was magnificent because Scotland scored against Brazil. It was 1-1. It was a penalty. You won the penalty, mate.
I did. And it's a proud moment, I must admit. 1-0 down, and it started back at Sweden when we played Sweden in the qualifiers, and I went and had a little tussle with Patrick Anderson in the box, and he gave me a little nudge, and I didn't go down. I probably should have gone down. I would have got a penalty, and Craig Brown always reminded me of it. She's like, why didn't you go down? And it was just something sat on my shoulder, just telling me that you need to go down for these things and don't try and be brave with it. And when it happened in Brazil, the ball dropped down. I looked at Taffarel. I thought, well, he's going to dive on it. I might get to it. And next thing I know, I had two hands on my back and I was diving like Tom Daly and getting 9 boards off. It was brilliant. And to see John Collins just posing with the ball, and I just thought, this is it. I'm confident John's going to score. And he did. He got us back in the game. And we were so unlucky after that, because we could have got a goal, maybe 2 after it. We had opportunities, but it was a little bit freakish own goal at the end of it. It was disappointing.
But you scored against Brazil. The miracle was alive. Tonight, history is repeating itself. Scotland versus Brazil. Is there any way the same magic that you experienced could get the lads tonight? Could they do it?
Yeah, they certainly could. They've seen what Morocco was like, and Morocco, what we thought they were the better side than Brazil in their game. So, and Scotland done well in the second half against Morocco, just couldn't get that goal when the opportunities arised. Again, it could be very similar, but we've got opportunities as well. We can get beat tonight and still go through the group stage. So we have to play this very, very coyly, and it's going to be an interesting one to see what Steve prepares. We don't want to be going gung-ho and allowing Brazil at all, but we don't want to be over-defensive because it doesn't reap the benefits, just like Morocco. And that's the last thing we need, is to be waiting for a couple of days to find out where we're going to be, whether we're going to qualify or whether we're being sent home.
All right. Well, listen, Kevin Gallagher, I sincerely wish Scotland all the very, very best. I really, really do. When I was 8, I saw that Archie Gemmill goal, mate. We need history to repeat itself. Go on, Scotland. Thank you very much, Kevin. It's a pleasure to have your company. It really is. Thank you for joining us on the show today, and good luck tonight. Now, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is due to speak in Berlin very shortly. Ich bin ein Berliner. We'll be there. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually, with something fresher coming in from the west, with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. There's congestion on the M4 westbound between junctions 24 and 26, and a collision on the M1 southbound in Northamptonshire between junctions 18 and 16, closing 2 lanes until 7. The M25 clockwise in Surrey is shut between junctions 5 and 6 due to a crash, expected to clear shortly after 9. The M60 clockwise exit at junction 24 is partially blocked by a broken down vehicle, expected to clear after 5:30. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services between London St Pancras and Bedford face disruptions due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out, as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here. You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Phew, what a scorcher, and a good afternoon to you. It's 5 p.m. Welcome to the Martin Daubney Show here on GB News, broadcasting for you until 6 p.m. And here's what's coming up on today's show.
Our inquiry is about providing accountability to those victims and survivors for why so many people knew this was happening in plain sight but didn't act, looked the other way.
Will we have at last justice for the rape gang survivors, as Oldham, Bradford and Keighley and London have now all been confirmed by the National Inquiry into Grooming Gangs as the first locations have been selected for local investigations. Politics today, Andy Burnham, the mystery man of Manchester, is considering watering down the Labour Party's clampdown on indefinite leave to remain and that means that 1.7 million Boris Wave immigrants will be able to stay in the United Kingdom forever from next year. Is this a sign of things to come from the man Nigel Farage has called Open Borders Burnham? And on his first day in office, Sir Keir Starmer scrapped the Conservatives' Rwanda deportation plan. But you couldn't make it up, because today the European Union countries are demanding Brussels implements identical return hubs in, you've guessed it, Rwanda, to help curb spiralling, uncontrolled immigration. Was scrapping Rwanda Sir Keir Starmer's first and greatest mistake? And as you can see, live pictures on your screen, the Prime Minister, for now at least, Sir Keir Starmer, is due to speak in Berlin imminently as he's met with European leaders on his favourite topic, Ukraine. Discussions are expected to focus on coordinating support for Ukraine, preparations for the NATO summit, and wider European security policy will cross live as and when that happens. And it's official. Today is the hottest June day on record, with temperatures soaring to 35.8 degrees centigrade in West Sussex, bringing parts of Britain to a total standstill. Train services have been disrupted. Hundreds of schools have closed, including my kids, as the extreme heat takes its toll. It's hot, and Britain's on its knees. And that's all coming up in your next hour. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have your company on this beautiful afternoon. Hope you're doing your very, very best to stay cool out there, and I'm hoping we're keeping you nice and soothed. Now, get into its usual ways. gbnews.com/your say is the way to do so. We're going to get straight to your news bulletins now, because we are waiting for Sir Keir Starmer to speak in Berlin. But before that, here's your headlines with Katie Bowen.
Martin, thank you and good afternoon. The headlines at 5:02. Today has been declared the UK's hottest June day on record, with a provisional high of 35.8 degrees Celsius recorded in West Sussex. A red weather warning for extreme heat is covering parts of the country, with the Met Office advising the elderly and vulnerable to stay indoors, and are also urging the public to reconsider lengthy travel plans. Humid conditions are also expected to persist well after sunset tonight, bringing the prospect of tropical nights to parts of the UK where temperatures will remain above 20 degrees Celsius. Today's temperature breaks the previous record set in the summer of 1976. The heat wave has hit the continent too. France has also recorded its hottest ever June temperature, reaching 40.9 degrees Celsius in Paris today. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has defended his record as Labour leader in his first Prime Minister's questions since announcing his resignation. Downing Street has also indicated this afternoon that Sir Keir Starmer intends to stay on as a backbench MP for the rest of this Parliament, despite standing down as leader. At PMQs this lunchtime, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch challenged the Prime Minister to say whether he felt betrayed and let down by his own party, as well as asking about the long-awaited defence investment plan.
2 years ago, I walked into Number 10 and found a broken economy, broken public services and broken trust in politics. Because of our decisions, my decision, the country is moving in the right direction, a stronger and a fairer Britain, ending austerity, investing in our public services, the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years, more rights for workers, more rights for renters, standing with Ukraine, Britain's reputation restored and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty. Change promised by a Labour government, fought for by a Labour government.
In other news, more than 500 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or died due to deeply embedded systemic failures at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. A review led by senior midwife Donna Ockenden has concluded. The inquiry found leaders at the Trust knew there were serious issues in its maternity department going back years, but failed to take action to prevent more deaths. Overall, 520 mothers and babies suffered potentially avoidable harm or death, including 94 babies who were stillborn. The chairman of Nottingham University Hospital NHS Trust, Nick Carver, has apologised unreservedly to the women and families who have suffered harm, loss, trauma or distress under their care, saying that the Trust will work on a meaningful apology and further improvement plans. A train driver who died in a crash near Bedford had passed a red signal moments before the collision, investigators say. The Rail Accident Investigation Branch revealed this finding in a statement today. More than 100 people were injured in the collision, which saw one train smash into the back of another on the same line, with 53 people remaining in hospital as of Monday. The driver who died at the scene was named as 6-year-old Sean Burton. London, Oldham and Bradford and Keighley are to be the first towns and cities investigated by the grooming gangs inquiry. The £65 million probe is investigating how grooming gangs operated and how police, councils, health services, social care services and schools responded. More areas will be confirmed soon as the inquiry, led by Baroness Anne Longfield, sets out its phases of investigation. Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan, welcomed the inquiry's focus on London, saying marking your own homework is not enough and that it was important no stone is left unturned as the inquiry sets about its work. And an Algerian man has been jailed after pleading guilty to endangering lives at sea and arriving in the UK without valid entry clearance. 29-year-old Azzedine Ain Bazid was jailed for a total of 24 months at Canterbury Crown Court. He piloted a small boat on the 18th of April this year, carrying 67 people, including a pregnant woman, from the French coast into UK waters before being intercepted by Border Security Command vessels. The small boat was suitable for only 20 people. Those are your latest GB News headlines. More from me in half an hour.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.32 and 1.16 euros. The price of gold is £3,046 per ounce and the FTSE 100's at 10,454 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Thank you, Katie. Got some breaking news for you now at the top of the 5, and it's this. Counter-terror police have carried out 2 searches in northwest London as part of an investigation into suspected national security offences linked to Iran. Now, they say the investigation is not connected to any of the recent incidents or arson attacks that have been targeted at various venues and buildings in and around northwest or east London, including several venues linked to the Jewish community. So we'll bring you all on that breaking news story as we get it. Top story this afternoon. Oldham, Bradford and Keighley and London have all now been confirmed by the National Inquiry into Grooming Gangs as the first location selected for local investigation. Let's now speak with our national reporter, Charlie Peters, who I believe is with a survivor for us. Charlie Peters, a magnificent breakthrough. Charlie, over to you.
Yes, Martin, a major development today with those 3 areas selected for investigation. Earlier this morning, I spoke with the inquiry chair, Baroness Anne Longfield, and the 2 panellists working with her, Eleanor Kelly and Zoe Billingham, who said that they had selected London and Bradford in particular because they are key hubs for grooming gang work and operations, that they have links for trafficking, the movement of victims and perpetrators, not only in the regions around them, in the satellite towns around London. They mentioned High Wycombe, Luton and Oxfordshire, but also in Bradford, links around the wider area in Yorkshire and, of course, throughout the country. Indeed, there are major links that we have found between Bradford and London as well, those 2 cities. So there'll be major investigations to take place there. There'll be statutory investigations also impacting Oldham, so they will have the powers to request evidence and to demand interviews with people to explain what they did to deal with these issues. Well, we can now speak with Fiona Goddard, a victim and survivor from Bradford, who's been campaigning for many years for this inquiry into the city. Fiona, how does it feel learning today that Bradford will get that statutory-powered inquiry?
There's a lot of conflicting feelings, to be honest. I'm grateful and glad that it's finally happening, but there's also questions about why it's taken so long. There's been decades of fighting from multiple different people to try and get the issues in Bradford dealt with. It's taken far too long to even get to this position we're in now. So a lot of conflicting emotions.
And earlier today, Fiona, when the news was shared with us at midnight last night, ahead of us being able to release it at 10, I spoke to the solicitor, David Greenwood. Of course, you know him well. He told us that the reason why people had resisted this inquiry for many decades, he said, is because they were facing deep embarrassment about what they did not do in the area. Is that your perspective as well, that people feel they fear being exposed by this inquiry?
Yeah, one of the things we'd always said is that Bradford didn't want to become the next Rotherham, because we do feel like with Bradford, it's not just the issues inside Bradford. Like you said earlier, it's the connections to the trafficking up and down the country, the connections to cases all across the country. This has implications in near enough every area of the grooming gang scandal. And I think a lot of people in Bradford have been very worried about the response they'll get when the truth comes out, and that's why there was a big resistance. I think we're also still left with a lot of questions. There is other areas that definitely need to be included, like Hull, Huddersfield, Birmingham. So I think there's a lot of survivors still eagerly awaiting further updates in July, hoping that these areas will also be covered.
Well, Fiona, I actually raised Birmingham and Hull in my discussion with the 3 leaders of the inquiry earlier today. And I can tell you that Eleanor Kelly, that panellist, she said that they would be looking at Hull potentially because of decisions made by the Crown Prosecution Service. As you know, there have been 2 investigations by the police that have collapsed there. So that now seems highly likely to be one of the further areas. But the message they put out was that this is just the start, that more areas are to come. And what would you say, Fiona, as someone who's campaigned for years in the public eye as well, with all the pressure that comes with, to other victims and survivors who are thinking about contributing to this and giving evidence? That's coming up soon, of course, the evidence sessions. What's your message to others as this inquiry sort of gears up and prepares to investigate?
I think it's really important that everyone gets involved in this. We cannot question the outcome of the inquiry unless we all participate and we all try our best to make sure that this is done properly. I would encourage people to come forward. I do think the inquiry needs to speak more openly about how they will safeguard and protect and support the survivors that do come forward. Because as you'll know, Charlie, there's a lot of survivors that have children to their abusers or are living in them areas. They can't be exposed, they can't do criminal investigations, they need to be safeguarded and kept safe, but they should still have ways that they can participate in this inquiry. And I think there just needs to be a big push now of reassurance on these type of people that they can contribute and that they will be protected.
Well, Fiona, we will make sure that that message is heard loud and clear. Fiona Goddard, thank you so much for joining us on GB News this afternoon. Thank you, Fiona. And there you go, Martin. That's the clear message we've heard from Fiona, that everyone who wants to share evidence and to contribute to the evidence gathering that this inquiry is going forward to do now, that Fiona wants people to come forward. We are hearing from many survivors across the country who are keen to contribute. This is just the start, Martin. 3 areas selected, many more to come. And we did hear earlier today from Zoe Billingham, one of the panellists on the inquiry. She told me that their starting point is accepting that there has been a catastrophic failure of the state. They're very keen to pursue information wherever it is. They say they've looked at 800 recommendations from previous reports into towns like Telford, Rotherham, Rochdale, Newcastle and Oxford. They'll be assessing and challenging those areas that have already had investigation as well. So this is already gearing up to be a wide-ranging probe. And one final point, Martin. In my discussion with the panellists, we singled out the fact that at Newcastle, they actually spoke to perpetrators to understand what was behind the abuse. Now, the Home Office is commissioning some research to understand the ethnic, religious or cultural elements that could have inspired this abuse. But Baroness Anne Longfield told me that they could speak to perpetrators as well as victims, to quiz them, to question them, to get a better understanding of this. Frankly, Martin, I think that's something that people have unfortunately shied away from in previous investigations as well, preferring not to look back. But it sounds like in this case, that won't happen.
Charlie Peters, no stone should be left unturned. Anybody and everybody should fear that knock at the door. And after so many years of darkness, after so much heartache, you know, people like Fiona deserve a ray of hope. They really, really do. And Charlie Peters, thank you so much for all the work you've done to shine light on this. I salute you, sir. Thank you very much, Charlie Peters.
Cheers.
Now moving on, because we've got some more breaking news for you now. It's this. And police marine units have joined emergency services in the search for a 15-year-old boy who was reported missing just after 1:30 p.m. today, after last being seen swimming at Testwood Lakes in Southampton. A Hampshire Constabulary spokesman said the area is currently off limits while our search operation is ongoing. Please avoid the area at this time, and we'll bring you more on that breaking news story as we get it. And please, I just say to every parent out there, be so careful about your kids going swimming this time of year. It might be hot out there, but water is perilously cold, especially when you jump into it and it's deep. It can force the air out of you. Please take care of your kids. It's every parent's worst nightmare. Just to repeat that breaking news. And that is police marine units divers have joined emergency services in the search for a 15-year-old boy who was reported missing just after 1:30 p.m. today, after last being seen swimming at Testwood Lakes in Southampton. Now, moving on. We're waiting for the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, to speak in Berlin. And don't forget, if we've got some live pictures of that, there is a summit going on as we speak. It's being called Sir Keir Starmer's Farewell Summit. It's the E5 group of leaders. I'm joined in the studio by Chris Hope, our political editor, and Nigel Nelson, our senior political commentator. Let's try and get those pictures on the screen if we can while we talk over this, gentlemen. Chris, I've got one simple question to you. What is the point?
Well, it's the E5. It's a meeting of the leaders of Germany, France, Britain, Italy, Poland, talking about mainly Ukraine. They may mention also the Strait of Hormuz and getting oil tankers flowing through there. It's because the continent of Europe is deeply concerned about Russia. Ukraine is fighting Russia. Poland is obviously feeling very, very vulnerable, being abutting Ukraine in terms of a border. For many, it's a farewell summit for our Prime Minister. He's being billed as a caretaker Prime Minister in some reporting. No, he is still the Prime Minister and leader of the Labour Party until we expect Andy Burnham to be crowned Prime Minister or crowned leader of the Labour Party, therefore Prime Minister, without a vote of any MPs or members by about the 17th of July. So that's what's going on. It's a farewell summit, if you like. The next time we'll see the Prime Minister internationally will be with the NATO summit. And it's interesting how power drains away. All the conversation now is about Andy Burnham. On screen, we're saying there, Andy Burnham, a Prime Minister in waiting. Well, he is. And, you know, for all the chatter and the goodwill towards Keir Starmer there will be, but from those leaders of those countries, he is basically yesterday's man already.
We can see live pictures on our screen there from Berlin. Nigel Nelson, the other attendees there, the Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni, the German Chancellor, beg your pardon, Friedrich Merz, French President, of course, his old chum, Emmanuel Macron, Polish Prime Minister, ex-European Union Commissioner Donald Tusk, who has a sudden change of heart on immigration when he became the President of Poland, because, hey, you realise to get elected there, you have to have closed borders. They all change their opinion when it suits them. But seriously, this is another summit, and I often say, here's our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, Jet Set Starmer, never hear Keir, who's called many times in power. This guy's been to more summits than the Himalayas. And what's the point? Everyone knows he's not the Prime Minister now. He might be a Prime Minister in name, he's not the Prime Minister in action. It's just another waste of time.
Well, he is the Prime Minister. I mean, this is the group of Europe's biggest defence spenders. It's a meeting that Britain ought to be at, and we're represented by Keir Starmer for the time being. What he's talked about is doing an orderly handover to Andy Burnham, and part of that orderly handover is keeping the wheels of government churning over.
But it's not. Government's frozen.
Well, government spending is frozen, government policy is frozen.
Chaos.
But we must still keep government running, and the country has to tick over.
But it's chaos. It's bedlam. Nothing's happening. Nothing's moving through. We don't know what policies are.
Not sure about chaos or
he's
bedlam.
banging on over there in Berlin.
Well, it's not bedlam. What are you talking about? The country is working. The PM is in charge.
It is bedlam.
They're changing. Where's the bedlam?
We've had a by-election where 0.085% of the total British electorate voted for a parliamentarian who now, uncontested, will be the Prime Minister. We don't know his policies.
We're waiting for those
we don't really stand
filled in
on anything. And we've got the current Prime Minister, who many think is just a caretaker Prime Minister, a squatter in Downing Street.
But care's still got to be taken.
But he's out there banging on about things that he'll have no influence in. He can say whatever he likes. The coalition of the willing, coalition of the Wazzocks.
But who do you send to represent Britain if not the existing Prime Minister?
It's just a talking shop. It's croissants and coffee.
Yeah, but they're continuing a conversation about defending Ukraine, which is the principal reason that they're meeting, and Britain ought to be at the table.
And also the reason why we have this is because we're outside the European Union and we can't send proxies, Ursula von der Leyen or Antonio Costa from the European Council. Now we're sovereign, Martin. You campaign for this. We have to send our Prime Minister on the world stage.
Don't you think all along, let's be honest, Sir Keir Starmer was always much more happy in places like this than he would be in places like Skegness or Mansfield or Blackpool? He was never really a working man's Prime Minister. He's a bureaucrat. He literally wrote the textbook on the European Court of Human Rights. And, we've had the book on this table. Yeah. He's a bureaucrat, he's a lawyer. This is where he always was happiest. He said to himself he was happier in Davos than in Westminster. Perhaps he belongs on the international stage after politics.
I think that's a bit unfair. I think that certainly he's not a big fan of Parliament and the backbiting, the backstabbing, the politics. He finds that difficult, I think, and that's why I said we prefer Davos to Westminster. But having been with him in places around the country, he loves meeting people. They provide the lodestar for his policies. He always says, in my mind's eye, I think of the Jaguar Land Rover workers who benefited from the trade deal. He always tries to think of people he's helping to help keep him doing his work and looking after those who need it in his world. I mean, I know that he is quite happy on the world stage and he's good at it, but that's where I think the politics is easier than being at home.
Yeah, well, as we await the Prime Minister to appear there in Berlin at yet another international summit, he'll miss them. He'll miss the air miles.
Yeah, well, yes, but he has to go. I mean, this is the E5, Martin. We are on Europe, we're leading with Europe, and Europe is about trying to deal with the threat from Russia. If we weren't there, we'd say we are a bystander. You'd be kicking 7 bells at the PM for not being there, Martin. What can he do? Do you want David Lammy there instead? He's the Deputy Prime Minister. I think it's right the PM is there. The PM, anyway, is trending out from office, and we'll see him speak for the first time since that emotional speech in outside the House of Commons on Monday. I think he's entitled to a period of notice when people...
He spoke at PMQs earlier.
Yeah, he's doing the work. It's PMQs.
Anyway, we'll go over to Berlin as and when our Prime Minister for now appears. But also still to come after the break, we'll ask if Scotland can make history tonight by beating Brazil for the first time ever in a major tournament. Well, first time ever, full stop. Could they reach the next round of the World Cup? Do you believe in Mac miracles? And also next, we'll tell you about the council that hates people displaying English flags in the streets so much It went to court to get them banned. Astonishing. And even during a World Cup. That's next here on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
Oh, thank you. And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Time is 5:27. You're with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, leaders of Operation Raise the Colours, the group, the Patriots, have agreed to stop hoisting England flags on lampposts in Oxfordshire after the local authority obtained a High Court injunction against the campaign. The court order also prohibits members from encouraging others to raise flags or from obstructing council workers as they remove them. Now, one member of the group said it was a sad day for the flag of our country and what it represents. Of course, that was Ryan Bridge from Operation Raise the Colours. Well, let's have a panel chat now with Nigel Nelson. This is the first time in British history that a council has got an injunction, has gone to the High Court to prohibit people from raising flags in this country. I think it's shameful.
Well, I wouldn't say it's shameful. I do wonder why they bothered. I mean, Oxfordshire Council has every right to go to the High Court to stop flags being raised. The lampposts that they're put on belong to the council. The people who were putting them there were trespassing on council property by putting the flags up. So, from a legal point of view, they have every right to. Whether they should have bothered is another matter entirely. My local authority has decided not to take action against the flags in my village. The police backed them up, said we won't take action unless any flag poses a safety risk, like it might blow into the road. And the parish council thinks the same way. I would have gone that direction for Oxfordshire rather than go to the High Court about it. But as I say, they were perfectly right to do so if they feel that strongly.
Except the punishment for raising a flag on a lamppost in the land of the free was unlimited fines or prison. Prison for putting up a flag. Come on, they've lost the plot. And I'll tell you what, they would never have done that for the flag of Ukraine, the beloved, holy, sanctimonious flag of Ukraine. They would never do it for the flag, I dare say, of Palestine, or a pride flag, or a Black Lives Matter flag. They singularly pick on the St George's flag and the Union flag, especially during a World Cup. I think these people are completely and utterly tone deaf.
But we haven't had a campaign in Oxfordshire where people have been trying to put up multi-Ukrainian flags or Palestinian flags or pride flags.
Because the council did it themselves.
Well, but they haven't put it on every lamppost. I mean, so it rather depends. I mean, certainly where you see the Raise the Colours people operating, it's everywhere. These flags go up on every single lamppost. Some of them could be a risk.
You actually believe is because a flag might suddenly fly off a lamppost?
Well, it might.
And I just think that's a complete cover story. Listen, I've got the leader now of the Conservative group at Oxfordshire County Council, and that's Councillor Liam Walker, who is joining us now. Liam Walker, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have your company. This ruling, I said to you before, I think it's disgraceful, and now it is law.
I mean, I know England had a terrible game last night, but it's not a reason why the Lib Dems should now be going around Oxfordshire ripping down the England flag. I mean, it is absolutely nuts. And, you know, from an opposition point of view, we are seriously concerned about how much taxpayers' money is now being spent removing flags from lampposts. I completely get where there's, you know, issues around racism, but they're matters for the police, not matters for the council. And the taxpayer to be picking up the tab. You know, it's just what we're seeing now in Oxfordshire. The left, if they don't agree with what you're saying or disagree with you, they find whatever opportunity they can to silence you. It's just unacceptable. And a lot of my residents complain to me about potholes, the funding in adult social care, and here the Lib Dems crack on with taking down flags from lampposts. It's absolutely bonkers.
Now, Liam Walker, I spoke with Sir Michael Ellis about this story before, the former Attorney General. He said legally, we already have the Highways Act. There's already a law to stop people putting things onto lampposts, but they instead chose to invent a new law. This, to me, is councils thinking they're more important than the law of the land, and specifically on a political context. They haven't picked on the Ukrainian flag. I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, they have singled out the St George's flag because they've decided in their mind that it's far right, that it's racist.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does feel like when, you know, there's the conflict in Ukraine and the Ukraine flag went up across the land, they were silent. And it you know, I said it to you before when we spoke. It seems that if you suddenly have some pride in your nation and your flag, you're branded as racist. And I think that's really dangerous language that we're now seeing creeping in to not just government but also local politics. I don't agree with it. You can be proud of your flag and want to fly it and not be linked to Tommy Robinson or your other people on the far right, but the Lib Dems have now come in with a wrecking ball, spent a great deal amount of taxpayers' cash, and we have put in a question to find out how much they are spending, and I'll be pleased to let you know when we get that information, because I think to take it to the High Court now, we're talking tens of thousands of pounds, and they've now got to start removing them, which is going to cost even more. It is just nonsense, and it's really embarrassing for Oxfordshire, if I'm honest with you. This is another thing amongst the 20 mile an hour quiet roads that they're trying to implement. It's just, you know, I've lived in Oxfordshire all my life, and it is just embarrassing what the Liberal Democrats are doing to our beautiful county.
And as you say, they seem to be obsessed with low traffic neighbourhoods, with air pollution, with taking down flags. And all people want is for the bins to be emptied, fill the potholes, make the place work.
You're absolutely right. As a councillor, all our job is to do is to run services and to run them well, not interfere in people's lives. But we're seeing it time and time again. And look, Martin, they're being hammered at the ballot box. The Lib Dems are suffering now in Oxfordshire, and that's great news for us. We are an opposition group that works strong as a team. We're going to keep fighting on these issues and keep fighting for common sense politics. I'm going grey, but I'm ready for the fight of our lives and the fight of the nation to not just protect the flag, but also just protect frontline services and make sure taxpayers' money is being spent wisely.
Liam Walker, just one final point. I know we had a miserable Gareth Southgate-esque ball draw last night with Ghana, but there is a World Cup on. There is national patriotic fervour. The timing of this lawsuit is utterly tone deaf.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not a football expert, so I dare comment on the performance last night. But, you know, it does seem now that we can't fly the flag here in Oxford unless we perhaps fly it on our own properties. And, yeah, I just think, come on, there's more important things to focus on. The timing isn't great with the World Cup on, as you say, and now's the time we should be getting behind not just our flag, but also our football team, because they need all the support they can at the moment.
All right, Bidvers, thank you very much indeed for joining us as the leader of the Conservative group at Oxfordshire County Council, Councillor Liam Walker. Thank you very much, and mind now you go. Now, still to come, don't go anywhere, because I'll tell you why Rachel Reeves might be plotting a tax raid, this time on your savings. But for now, if you're travelling home from work or from school, as I always say, please stay safe, especially on this scorching day. And here is your traffic and your travel update.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Congestion is causing 20-minute delays on the M4 westbound between junctions 24 and 26, and on the M1 northbound between junctions 20 and 21. 2 lanes are closed on the M25 clockwise in Hertfordshire between junctions 17 and 18 due to a breakdown. The M4 slip at junction 15 has 1 lane closed due to a spillage. In Surrey, all lanes are shut on the M25 clockwise between junctions 5 and 6 due to a collision. And on the trains, major disruption continues on East Midlands Railway and Thameslink between London St Pancras International and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually, with something fresher coming in from the west, with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. Time is 5:38 with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, another tax raid is coming in because Rachel Reeves, in her final act, perhaps, as Chancellor, has unveiled plans to shake up Britain's ISA markets, introducing a new slapping on a 22% tax on stocks and shares ISAs, with new rules designed to encourage savers to invest rather than leave large sums of money sitting in cash accounts. Now, the Treasury says the changes could help boost investment and economic growth, but critics warn they may make saving more complicated for millions of people. Well, of course it will. Let's now speak with the personal finance expert, Jasmine Birtles. Jasmine, always a pleasure. A lot of people liked cash ISAs in the past. They put their money away, it's tax-free, and the government doesn't get their claws on any of the profits. That's the point, to encourage people to save. Now, the government has done two things, right? They've scaled down the amount you can do that on, and they're coming after your cash in stocks and shares ISAs. Tell us all about it.
Well, yes, as you say, ISAs are a really good product. They enable people to save and invest for their future tax-free. They're a really good incentive. You know, you've got pensions, you've got ISAs. Two really good ways to invest for your future. And let's face it, we need to, because the state is not going to pay for our futures. So what the government should be doing is encouraging us in every possible way to put money aside. And these proposed changes are just incredibly irritating to me, because firstly, it's sort of pettifogging, let's steal some money from our savers and investors this way. You know, it reminds me of what Pat McFadden said about Labour MPs, that all they're thinking about is who can we tax in order to give more money in benefits. And it's like she's thought, oh, there's a little wrinkle, we can do this. And it makes it complicated. Now, I was actually behind her when she reduced the cash ISA limit. So if you're under 65, you can now only put up to £12,000 into cash ISAs. You can still put up to £20,000 per tax year into stocks and shares ISAs. But now these plans are saying that if you've got money in stocks and shares ISAs and some of it is sitting in a cash account, which you might have, you know, if you're waiting to see what you want to put your money into, that's going to be taxed at 22%. It's pathetic. And yes, I agree, it will put people off. It'll make it more complicated. You think, oh, I'm not going to save tax, or am I not going to save? It's a real irritant and totally unnecessary, in my view.
And Jasmine, another point, like I've got a stocks ISA. Today, tech is having a meltdown. You know, stocks are being dumped left, right and centre. Now, at that point, a lot of people might sell their shares and have cash. And at that point, that cash becomes a taxable asset the government's going to start clawing away. And here's the point. If you take the risk with your money and you lose, you take 100% of the pain. If you take your money out and you get some profit, the government suddenly takes 22% of your profit. It's a racket.
It is a racket. Absolutely. I mean, taxation generally is a racket. Let's be honest. You get taxed when you earn it, and then when you buy a house, you get taxed on that. And when you sell a house, you get taxed there. You get taxed if you put money into investments, if it's not in an ISA or pension. Every time we spit and cough, we get taxed. And this has to stop, because, I mean, what it's doing now, and I speak as a business person, as you know, I run moneymagpie.com, and I've got people in my team, you know, I get, my tax bill is getting higher and higher. Anytime we make any profit, most of it is taken away in tax. It's getting pointless to run a business, to work, to invest, to buy houses. You know, the more they tax, the less people are going to bother.
And also, Jasmine, one final point. Presumably this means that everybody who has a stocks and shares ISA, who puts a bit of money into their cash pot for a while, well, they have to work out the profit and fill in a tax return. It's incredibly complicated, and it just makes people think, what's the point?
What's the point? Exactly. And, you know, investing is seen as a difficult thing anyway. Very few people do it. People will save, but they won't invest so much. And this is something, again, you know, on my website, we're really hammering home that investing is a good thing. We all ought to do it. It's not that hard. And then the government comes in and adds in totally unnecessary complications and is going, there you are, see, it is complicated. And, you know, people like me are trying our best to help normal people, ordinary people, develop wealth by investing and doing it sensibly over time and everything. And we really could do without, we all could do without the government coming in and undermining this, undermining people's confidence and undermining their wealth. It's ridiculous.
Jasmine Birtles, I think many people listening to this will totally agree with you. Thanks for your company. Try and stay cool out there. Personal finance expert Jasmine Birtles, thank you very much. Now, a quick writer reply from the government. A spokesman from the Treasury said this: parking cash long-term in a non-cash ISA to earn tax-free interest isn't investing. Well, yes, it is. No, these changes will push more people towards investments that actually grow their money. And industry leaders, including Nationwide and the Building Societies Association, back us on this. Nigel Nelson, here's my point. Everybody seems to believe, a lot of people seem to believe that if you've got a few quid, this government is on your back. If you're trying to save for your future, if you're trying to put a few quid to one side, if you're trying to be responsible and do the right thing and plan for your retirement, they want to take a rake off you. And if you sit around on your backside doing naff all, then they're the ones who get paid.
I can understand, in this case, Rachel Reeves wanting to encourage people to invest in stocks and shares.
Have to interrupt. Keir Starmer is speaking in Berlin. Let's go over.
Standing up once again for decency, respect and the rule of law. Last week, the G7, and thank you again, Emmanuel, for hosting a successful G7, where we pledged our unwavering support to Ukraine. And we've been able to echo that here today, our determination to capitalise on Ukraine's newfound momentum. They are increasingly able to push Russia back on the battlefield. That's been the story very much of this year. And there are clear signs that as Russia loses Mount and their economy struggles, the mood in Moscow is turning against Putin's war. So this is a really important moment to ramp up the pressure on their economy with more sanctions and providing Ukraine with more military support. We are committed to driving this forward, and that this should be the first item on the agenda at the NATO summit in a couple of weeks' time. The second key issue at the summit must be building a more European NATO. We've been making this argument for some time, but now is the time at this summit to really push this argument forward. Our aim together should be to lead a decisive strengthening of European leadership and sovereign capabilities, working, of course, in full coordination with the United States. Because we know that is what it will take to keep our countries safe, deter those who would do us harm, and preserve the most successful military alliance in history. That is the big strategic challenge of the moment, in the face of a clear and growing threats that we face. And we are all playing our full part. The UK is ready to implement the largest sustained increase in defence funding since the Cold War. We've already taken steps last year to that end, and we'll take further steps. And we're going further, working to deliver our defence investment plan ahead of the NATO summit, not just to increase how much we spend on defence, but to completely overhaul how we spend it, to learn the lessons of Ukraine, and to ensure that we're ready to meet the threats of today and of tomorrow. And look, one final point. It is clear that this renewal of European defence must be fuelled by a generational shift in European industrial cooperation. The reality of modern warfare is that as well as outmanoeuvring the enemy, we must be able to out-innovate and outproduce them as well. More than ever, economic and technological power is the basis for military power. And so we must harness this moment to boost our cooperation and, at the same time, boost jobs, growth and opportunity for all of our people for many years to come. Thank you, Friedrich.
Panie premierze, drogi przyjacielu Kir, chciałem tylko powiedzieć jedno zdanie.
That was Keir Starmer there speaking in Berlin. That was at the E5 Leaders Summit. That is the Polish Premier, Donald Tusk, former European Commissioner, of course, who had a sudden awakening and suddenly liked the ideas of hard borders when he became the president of Poland. Also there, Friedrich Merz, of course, the German leader, Giorgia Meloni, Italy, Macron, of course, Emmanuel Macron, his big chum, the French president. And I'll just say it again to you, Nigel Nelson, back here in the studio, what is the point of this pointless summit? Keir Starmer won't be the Prime Minister in 5 minutes' time.
No, he won't be, but it's important that Britain is there. That it would be extremely unfortunate if it was the E4 rather than the E5. We want our seat at the international table. We want to be able to influence events. At the moment, Keir Starmer is the man doing it. In the not-too-distant future, it'll be Andy Burnham.
It's all about Ukraine. I wonder actually if Sir Keir Starmer's future lies in international diplomacy. He said before he was Prime Minister he was more at home in Davos than in Westminster. Perhaps that's his destiny.
Well, the United Nations General Secretary job is coming up. There's something he might fancy. And also bear in mind that when William Hague ceased to be Tory leader, when David Cameron became Prime Minister, he became Foreign Secretary.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Now, a bit of football, because after England's dismal goal... Was it terrible? Terrible match last night. England's dismal goalless draw with Ghana yesterday. They completely neutered us. All eyes are now on Scotland. And the big question is, can they make history tonight? Can they beat Brazil? Because Scotland have never got past the group stage of a major tournament before. But, and it's a big but, if they beat 5 times world champions Brazil tonight, they will qualify at last for the last 32. Now, Scotland have not won any of their 10 games with Brazil, but maybe they could take some inspiration from this member of the Tartan Army who scored in a game with Brazil fans yesterday. There is that they're playing street football. At least the lads there have had a few beers. The Tartan Army are doing it. Let's cross live now to Glasgow and speak with GB News' national reporter Sophie Reaper. Sophie, do they believe in Mac miracles?
I really hope so, Martin. Wouldn't it be absolutely unreal if they could do the business, well, over in America, of course, but we're going to be here tonight at the OVO Hydro in Glasgow. 5,000 of the Tartan Army are going to be gathered here. And I tell you what, Martin, I've brought a prop with me today because I've not got my England shirt on, but I've brought this hat because no Scotland, no party. And that is what is going to be here tonight. They are absolutely famous for it. Of course, we've seen the Scottish fans over in America and they've been absolutely loving it, haven't they? They've made world headlines because they are just the best when it comes to fans. They absolutely always get behind their team and they've always got the faith. Now, you're right, every time they've played Brazil, the 10 times they've played Brazil in their history, they've never been able to take a victory, but they have been able to clinch a couple of draws. So there will be lots of fingers, I think not just fingers, everything will be crossed here tonight, all over Scotland tonight, and of course over in the stadium in America tonight, because if they can just, well, if there's the chance they could get a win, Martin, if they could beat Brazil, you'll hear the noise down in the studio in Paddington from here. I'm sure it will absolutely go off. If they can get a win. But if they can get a draw, or even if it's a loss, there is still a chance that they could advance past this group stage and do the best they've ever done in an international tournament. Now, as you say, that is a big but. But as I say, everyone here tonight, you've just seen a couple of fans already here, ready, 5 hours before kickoff, 4 hours before kickoff, whatever it might be. They are here and they're ready to party. They're ready to cheer their boys home. Is it going to be celebrations tonight? I absolutely hope so.
Sophie, but I admire your optimism and I sincerely do wish Scotland all the very, very best. After last night's miserable game with England, come on, Scotland, let's have it. It's going to be a long shot. It's going to be a long, long, long shot. But look, you've got to believe in miracles. It's the hope that kills you. So, Reaper, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us on the show. Always an absolute pleasure. And, of course, just to point out that it would just be astonishing if Scotland could do it. You've got to believe in miracles. Thank you very, very much indeed for your company today. Nigel Nelson, you've been superb. Wednesdays, as ever. Coming up next, though, don't go anywhere because the temperature is set to rise. The Queen of Primetime Debate joins us now, Michelle Dewberry. What's on your menu, Jubes? You can't hear her.
England game last night. I thought it was so boring, quite frankly, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better and slightly more entertaining than that. Anyway, look, so much we need to talk about today. All the MPs last night, absolute shame on you. You know who you are, we know who you are, voting to allow children as young as 11 years old to participate in a puberty blocker trial. What on earth is the matter with people in this country? I want to talk about that and a whole lot more in a sec.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, I'm here with your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. As we look through the next couple of days, the big talking point is the extreme heat that we have, particularly across central and southern parts of the UK, with several warnings in force. It's all because of high pressure, which is dominating our weather across large chunks of the UK, bringing lots of sunshine and allowing for hot air to come in from the south. Now, it's not dry and sunny everywhere. We have had a bit of cloud, a bit of rain across parts of northern and western Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there will be more of that to come through this evening and overnight. But across the bulk of the country, well, it's staying dry with clear skies, just a bit of cloud coming into some North Sea coastal parts. It is going to be another warm and humid night for many of us. Temperatures, particularly across central, southern and western parts, will stay above 20 Celsius. A tropical night, uncomfortable for sleeping, especially with the humidity. Into Thursday, and there's a bit more rain across northern and western parts of Scotland. Could be a bit persistent and perhaps heavy at times into the afternoon. Otherwise, largely sunny again and hot, exceptionally so across central and southern parts, perhaps even parts of northern England. We're looking at highs of around 38, maybe 39 Celsius. And with the exceptional heat and the high humidity, that's why we do have extreme heat warnings, an amber across the bulk of England and Wales and a red across some central southern parts of England and Wales. This has just been updated earlier on today. Later on, as we go through Thursday evening, there's more rain affecting parts of northern Scotland, but a bigger cause for concern will be the showers coming into parts of southwest England. These could be heavy, thundery, bringing the risk of some strong gusty winds as well. The heat continues across eastern parts in particular on Friday and even into the weekend, but we will see a drop in our temperatures eventually, with something fresher coming in from the west, with some more changeable weather on the cards as well.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Roadwork closure affects the M8 eastbound slip at Junction 8. The M4 westbound from Junction 24 Coldra to Junction 26 Malpas faces congestion. In Swindon, the M4 westbound exit slip at Junction 15 has a lane closed due to load spillage. Surrey's M25 clockwise between Junction 5 and Junction 6 is fully closed after a serious collision, with normal conditions expected by 11 this evening. And on the trains, major disruption continues between London St Pancras International and Bedford on both East Midlands Railway and Thameslink due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time.
But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. More and more people are now tuning in to GB News.
They shape our programmes, we try and incorporate them in our shows as much as we can.
Our audience are really interactive.
Our listeners, our viewers, they're growing. And that's because they tell their friends and family about what we're doing here at GB News.
It feels like the depth of that connection has strengthened as well.
Thank you so much for speaking to us on GB News.
Come and say hello to everybody that's here from GB News.
It's been an exceptional event.
We've come a long way here now.
Thank you, GB News!
What's so unique about GB News viewers is that they really, really love our country.
And they talk about us so proudly. We're on a journey together.
We are here for all of Britain. We believe in this country, we believe in its people, and we believe in all of the communities who live here.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
This is Jubes & Co. Coming up tonight.
They've abandoned him. And what for? A pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt.
Absolutely brutal PMQs today. Did you see it? What did you think? Kemi Badenoch, she got told to mind her language at some point. And get this, is rumours that Andy Burnham, if elected, of course, by the way, I think everyone's getting a bit carried away here. Anyway, he may want to relocate the centre of power away from Westminster up to the north. What do you think to that? Good idea or not? And shame on every single MP who last night voted to allow children as young as 11 years old onto a puberty blocker trial. What on earth are these people thinking? Also, big news today when it comes to the grooming gang inquiry. Let's take a look at that. And also, can you imagine being so pathetic and ridiculous in this country that you would feel the need to go to the High Court to stop people flying flags in their neighbourhood? That's what's been happening. All of that and a lot more keeping me company. My panel tonight, the Conservative MP Rebecca Paul, and alongside her Labour peer Lord Glassman. But before we get stuck in, let's cross and give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Good evening, it's 1 minute past 6. I'm Katie Bowen in the GB newsroom. Today has been declared the UK's hottest June day on record, with provisional temperatures of 36 degrees Celsius recorded in both Surrey and Hampshire. A red weather warning for extreme heat is in place for parts of the country, with the Met Office advising the elderly and vulnerable to stay indoors, and they're also urging the public to reconsider lengthy travel plans. Humid conditions are also expected to persist well after sunset tonight, bringing the prospect of tropical nights to parts of the UK where temperatures remain above 20 degrees Celsius. Today's temperatures break the previous record set in the summer of 1976. Well, in those record-breaking temperatures, some breaking news now. Police marine units have joined emergency services in the search for a 15-year-old boy who was reported missing this afternoon after last being seen swimming at Testwood Lakes near Totton. A Hampshire constabulary spokesman said a multi-agency operation is underway, and they're asking the public to avoid the area at this time. More on that breaking story as we get it. In other news, Sir Keir Starmer has defended his record as Labour leader in his first Prime Minister's questions since announcing his resignation. Downing Street has also indicated today that Sir Keir Starmer intends to stay on as a backbench MP for the rest of this Parliament, despite standing down as leader. At PMQ's this lunchtime, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch challenged the Prime Minister to say whether he felt betrayed and let down by his own party, as well as asking about the long-awaited defence investment plan. Sir Keir Starmer said it will be published before the NATO summit, which begins on the 7th of July. Elsewhere, more than